even that, but like you drive by, on the main drag, and you see all these ads. And you go like, oh man, I never see. They had Whoppers on for $6. I was like, oh my god, that's usually only a Whopper Wednesday thing. I could get it on a Monday, so like I gotta go.
What?
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience. Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience Conference Championship NFL spread picks, previews, and a Cust Corner. But first, I want to let everyone know that my Twitter account was hacked at the PME. So if you get anything from whatever the hell the account has turned into now as a DM, it is a phishing link. Do not click it. I hope to have this resolved by the next time I talk to you on the Spread Pick Show. I hope at least next week. Hopefully in like the next few days I can get this resolved. But I did want to let everyone know that do not click on any links coming from me. Not that you guys clicked on them anyway, but it just, if you see a DM, I'm not like all of a sudden super friendly and trying to get you to click on some like weird crypto link. Nah, it's not me. It's been hacked. We're trying to resolve it right now. Wanted to shoot that out at the very beginning. What you can do to help me out is smash the like, sub to the channel, sub to the audio podcast, and the newsletter, because that's the only way that I can communicate with people right now. Isn't that right, Jeff Feinberg?
Oh, Pat, like I hurt for you. It is my biggest, internet tech fear. Other than like a big withdrawal from a sports book, like disappearing in the internet air, in those like moments when it's like not in your sportsbook account or in your like wallet. But I oh my God, it's I hurt for you, man. This is the worst. Yeah. I pray for you. Thoughts and prayers.
It'll be okay. Like I'll continue to live beyond this, even if I don't get it back. It'll be okay. We'll rebuild. It's a new challenge for Pat Mayo.
You're handling it better than me. I gotta be freaking out.
Well, you can follow me at Mayo Media Net on Twitter right now. I've taken over that account, the company account, as my own for the moment. So just follow me over there for the time being. I'll try to post some articles, tweet stuff out from up there. But the person who's handling this the worst, weirdly enough, is Tim Andergust.
Tim Andergust.
That's not my name. Oh, I would be so terrified. I'm like Jeff. I would be terrified.
Of what?
Just the whole thing. The whole thing. It's like I have a love-hate relationship with the internet at best, and these are like the fears that I have about the internet.
That's it?
Remember when I lost my Twitter account for like a day and a half or like a few hours, and it took me forever to get it back because of the changed password?
No, you changed your phone number.
That's what it was. Anyway, long story short, it all terrifies me. So no, that would scare me too.
It's okay. Like I will be. I am still living. My kids are both sick. That is more important to me right now. And winning some money right here.
But Jeff understands too.
Yeah, but no, you're crazier. Before we went on air, Tim said this is the reason I don't use Amazon.
Yeah, I don't want anyone hacking or. Yeah.
It's my fault that it happened though. Like it was I was in the middle of a meeting, I was just scrolling through, clicked on something I shouldn't have clicked on, then boom, just the entire thing evaporates. So listen,
so like the newsletter will be okay to click on?
Yes, the newsletter is fine to click on, Tim. Yeah, don't start fucking doing that. Jesus Christ.
I get worried.
You don't need to get worried. Just don't click on a phishing link like an idiot Pat Mayo. I'm almost 40 years old. So this is happening to me now. I have to be more aware of this. Yes, Paul.
I had to give Tim an okay to click on the Zoom link for this show today.
Well, that's fair. We communicate via Twitter DM for that. So that actually does make some sense.
I did stare at that link for a good 5 minutes and then think, I don't know if I can click on this. Until Paul sent me the okay, and I was like, but also the person who would want me to click on it would also say that it was okay for me to click on it. But I decided to stir up my courage and do it. But for like 30 seconds, I was anxious there.
Well, everything is going to be okay. We're still doing the show. This is where people, listen, as big of a Twitter following as you can have, it's a great way to communicate with people and interact with people that you've interacted with for ages, Jeff. The show is still what primarily people watch or they listen to. There's like 25,000 people on the email list. I can still communicate with people here.
At one
Yeah.
point, I asked if the show was going to be canceled today. Paul will tell you that.
Would you?
I asked, are we even going to do the show? I just thought, this was such a crisis that we might not be able to continue today. I was very concerned.
How online are you two?
No, I didn't think that. No, one moment.
I'm not saying
did I
Jeff.
think
I'm
we
not
weren't
saying Jeff thought
recording.
that. I said I became very, very panic stricken and asked Paul whether this would happen, and Paul said that we would still. He thought we would still go on. And I was like, okay.
No, like Pat said, like he has a show. In my head, I'm like, he has a show. He has a newsletter. Twitter has lost a lot of its.
I got a
luster.
I got a Bluesky account, Jeff.
But I'm just saying,
I'm
like,
moving to Bluesky.
it'd be hard to like probably recreate your exact number, but between the show and your newsletter, you'd be able to get the word out, and people are such big fans of yours. You've got so much equity. Like there would be like an army of people that would like retweet and help get the word out that like you had a different account.
But it's not funny or anything. Like it's a terrible thing when these things happen.
No, but you are now. You've taken
sick
it
to my stomach.
You've taken it a level like overboard. Like, did I use the word like this is when I first saw it? I said this is a disaster.
I believe you then also said this is my greatest fear.
It is in terms of like the internet. It is my
and it
greatest
is my
fear.
it's a terrifying fear. Yes, I agree with you.
Like Pat was upright. He was okay. I'm like, well, he can just be at the studio. We're obviously doing the show. Not one moment did I have this thought of like the show is dead. Pat is in like utter despair or unable to bring himself together to record our show. Not one moment was that a thought of mine.
I'll tell you what.
Well, perhaps I was putting myself in the position of somebody else and assuming how I would react and know that it would not be good. I would not enjoy that.
No, listen,
it would have been a panic moment.
I'm not enjoying it. And the difference between, Jeff is sort of on the same sort of tier, but if you lost your Twitter account, Tim, like, what would be the difference? At least for me, it's my livelihood.
Even worse.
Yeah, I get
Even
that.
worse.
And I'm able to be okay here.
I'm very proud that you're
you.
able to do that. I would be, I would have a meltdown. I think I would not be funny. I'd be very sad.
I mean, it's not like life or death, and there are other ways. But I guess like Pat just saying that put it in my head. Like in some minor, like Pat's Twitter account is relevant to
his livelihood,
the show. So that's. I mean, there are other ways. Yeah, I don't know. This all like sucks, and it's just a fear because like it's just like a helpless feeling, and like like the people on the other end aren't running to help, and I've seen other friends of mine like have their accounts get got, and they've had to start over again, and it just seems annoying. But like a good telethon, I think we'd get there. Like maybe people. Tim would do a lot of impressions and have like a Jerry Lewis telethon. Get your account back.
Oh, I'll curse my new account on top of that. If people really feel bad for Pat Mayo, you should use code Mayo at Underdog right now as a first-time depositor and get up to $1,000 deposit bonus and a free pick this weekend. That actually would help out the show. We're still planning on doing the live show. I got a great amount of response. I asked people to respond to the newsletter because I wrote it in there of like, would you come to Toronto and see us do a live Cust Corner? And Jeff, we might need a bigger place.
Oh,
what is the royal with the Princess of Wales Theatre looking like for availability that day?
Well, so it's not the bar that I was looking at has capacity, I think, of like 150 for a live podcast. Maybe you could stretch it to 200 if they really wanted to sell a lot of drinks. But listen, if it's 200 people, if not, we'll go meet up with people elsewhere too inside the bar. It'll be fine.
But just don't yell at us, please.
About
That's all I ask.
Jesus.
When we're there, just don't yell at us.
I think people will be very excited to see.
Well, when I went to the Super Bowl that time, people were yelling at me.
They were saying, "Hey, it's Tim."
That's not. They were yelling.
Don't you remember what happened in Montreal before you lost? Ruined Stefan's month.
Look, that was a very pleasant interaction.
So that's what most of
4
them
or 5
would be.
hours.
You just hope they survive getting home. They should be more worried than you, I guess.
I think the idea of doing a big live show would be a lot of fun. And I think you'd get a good crowd for it.
Well, especially when I was teasing like Cam might do a chicken wing eating contest, but I don't know if I want to put Cam's body through that stress, Jeff.
He's like a professional wing eater. He was talking about it on the show.
He's not a professional wing eater, Tim. He's just a fat guy who eats a lot.
He's just a guy who likes to be at the pub and
Speaking
takes
of which,
advantage
not
of
to
wing
take us
night.
too off track here, but can I get some credit right now?
For Cam agreeing with you partially?
I mean,
and then he
Jeff
went on to
was
talk
so
about...
certain
And then
that Cam would not agree with me. And Cam completely agreed with my exact scenario without being prompted to that scenario.
And
the
part you're not going to say is that he called it stealing.
No, he didn't call that stealing. He called some other things that were adjacent to it stealing.
So what you want to do is associate yourself with the guy who basically robs people when he walks into places. That's your
he
side.
agreed with me.
Okay, you are correct.
He's a man of the people, and he agreed with me on this. And you, and particularly Jeff, said that he wouldn't.
No, but the wings, I was certainly wouldn't agree with you about the buffet facet. But sure, Cam agrees with you.
Buffet facet. I never said you should take things from the buffet. I never said that. We were never talking about buffets. And we talk about buffets a lot on this show. We weren't talking about them that day. We were talking about all you can eat wing things when they serve you small batches of wings.
You think Cam is leaving wings on the fucking plate? He's eating his. He's finishing his girlfriend's plate. He's finishing Visine Vince's plate.
Yeah, if the waiter is walking by with like some extras that people didn't finish, Cam is grabbing those
because he's like a pro wing eater.
Yeah, sure, pro wing. He's just good at eating at pro wing eater. I don't know. I don't want to put pro eaters on a pedestal. But you are, I think, like you do for pretty much every profession on earth, diminishing it.
I mean, I couldn't do it.
No, just because you can't do something doesn't mean the person is a professional who can.
Well, I mean, he's not. He's like top notch at it. What I'm saying.
You have a better chance of being a pro wing eater than laying your own drywall, and you think you could do that?
Well, I think I could put up some drywall.
What does that mean?
I was getting lots of. I think I could put up a few sheets.
Like you could be like.
I could put up like a wall.
You could be like the third wheel in a 3-man operation while they're doing it.
I could go
and you could hold the flashlight, right? Like that's what you mean.
I could go to Home Depot. I could pick out the sheets. I could roll them in. I could hold it in place while people were finding the studs, etc.
You think you would have like the endurance to like bring in the sheets?
I think I could.
And you couldn't go to Home Depot. I like the part that you put up there that you could go, you could pick it out, you could bring it in. Not pay for it, though, could you?
Well, that's presumed.
It's part of the job.
As long as it's
part of the job.
If it's my drywall from my dream house, then yes, of course.
For your greenhouse?
My dream house.
Oh.
Of course, then, I'm paying for it. If it's for somebody else's house, I'm not paying for it. I may do they may give me their card to buy it for them or something. I could do that.
Could you?
I don't know.
And I could hold the drywall up.
It seemed like most of the people who agreed with Tim were like referencing Olive Garden.
What their point was that there are restaurants where this is allowed.
Okay, sure, but it's also
why is it allowed? Because
that.
It's just such a horrible idea that food should be wasted for no reason.
Tim, you're not the only lowlife who watches this show. There's other people out there too who are absolute scum of the earth.
Despite you thinking that there are people out there who are a basket of deplorables, I don't feel that way.
Hold on a second. Just last year, someone pointed out to us, we got great audience, that you in your freak zone McDonald's Monopoly binges would throw out food.
Can I answer this? Because this is important.
Yeah, because
I would throw out because I will because there is an important distinction I'm going to make here. I was throwing out French fries. I was not throwing out parts of a living animal that is there to be consumed. I'm not wasting on purpose a sentient creature that is has been manufactured for us to eat. I would never do that. I wouldn't throw a part of a living animal away for no reason. It would not do that.
Well, it's not
potato is not
Mr. Potato Head. Mr. Potato Head.
I would like to point out that it's not a living animal when you're throwing it away. It's already
no, but it was a part of a living animal.
So it had nothing to do with food waste whatsoever. It had to do with your membership to PETA.
No. I feel like there is a different level of obligation you have when you're dealing with a part of a living creature that you're eating compared to a potato or a lettuce leaf.
So you think a McDonald's hamburger was ever like a living? I'll eat them, but you think those were living
I
creatures?
mean, they were 100% beef. That's how they're advertised, as 100%
No,
beef.
that's the name of the company, I think.
Well, I mean, I think there are people for whom, like, having wheat issues, they can still eat the burgers at McDonald's because they're 100%. Paul could probably chime in on this better than me.
I don't care to have. I apologize for that.
Food is food. Someone else pointed out that you were
Well,
like,
no, food is not food.
Yeah, food is food. You're wasting
it
food.
is.
Because your whole point was you could give that to a homeless person outside. You couldn't give the fries to a homeless person?
French fries are not the sort of thing that most people.
You're right. Yeah, the dietary restrictions of people who don't have any food to eat. They're just very picky.
I would love it to be look. I was the one out there saying I should just be able to purchase the fries without actually getting the fries, and then you could give them away to a homeless person. That would be fantastic.
Why? You just said that they don't want fries.
You want to pay $4 for the 2 stickers?
I want the
for
stickers,
medium
for heaven's
fries?
sake. What I want is the stickers and some fries. Like, give me a medium's amount of fries and my stickers, and the overage give to that'd be great. Or I wish I could just like buy the stickers. You know what I mean?
The other thing, Jeff, as someone said, because he's, high horse Tim, I want to give that away to homeless people. Tim's never interacted with a homeless person in his life. He just runs the other way. But the main thing here is that we talked about, hey, what do they do with the extra wings on the plate? Do they just throw them out? And I theorized they probably just throw them back into the deep fryer, fry them again, and send them back out. Okay, so you think that's disgusting, but you want to give them to homeless people. What's the difference?
What do you mean?
You said you want to give those wings to homeless people, right?
There's a slight difference. But...
What's the difference?
There is a slight difference.
He wants to take the wing that he doesn't want and give it to someone else. And that's all the restaurant is doing in that sense.
No, what that restaurant's doing is double what that restaurant's doing is double charging.
Oh, so that's your problem with it. They've double charged.
That is a problem. I'm also very obsessive about cleanliness to the point where that would bother me. And I know there for many people it would not bother them, but it would bother me.
Jared would like to chime in on this.
Gus, you want to hear something? Want to hear something really gross? I once, when I was working at Boston Pizza.
I don't think your mic's on.
Oh.
Okay. I like Boston Pizza.
I don't like where this is
going.
Oh,
was it? Oh, they weren't reacting. Go ahead. Restart the story.
I've heard like the grossest restaurant stories, so this is going to bother me.
Please don't tell me them.
Once dropped a piece of toast on the floor, proceeded to pick it up and put it on the plate.
Yeah.
That thing
I thought it was going to be so much worse. So like
that's so bad.
That's bad, but that's.
Oh, I like Boston Pizza too.
You still can. You love its floor seasoning.
No, they make this Royal Hawaiian pizza there. That's really good.
Well, let's talk about some of the NFL news, because I think that's why the people are here, not to hear you
I
two
don't
whine
agree.
about why you two whine.
I don't agree.
You two whine about me losing my Twitter account. I'll get it back. Just be cognizant of that. If I'm sending you DMs, it's not because I like you. It's because apparently whoever stole my account wants your hard-earned money, and maybe to get you into crypto. Who knows? Maybe it's not even a scam. Maybe it's an opportunity. I don't know, because I only clicked on it once and they stole something from me. That doesn't make them a thief outright, does it, Tim?
I think it's obviously incredibly dishonest what they've done to you. And like Jeff, we're both sick to our stomachs about it.
Well, I hope you guys can make it through the night. I'll be okay.
I'm serious. I will lose sleep over this.
Why?
You're not joking. I will lose sleep over this. I'm thinking. I will be thinking about this for the entire day. I've been thinking about it ever since it happened, and I haven't stopped thinking about it. It bothers me tremendously on your behalf.
You're taking this to an uncomfortable level.
Well, I feel extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah, but you're treating it like
because sometimes
like a different level of You're treating this now like it's a different level.
Like
of
my
tragedy.
brain goes immediately to the "I wish there wasn't an internet" type of thing. Like that's where my brain goes. There are days I wake up and go, "I wish it was never an internet." Like life would be so much simpler if there was never an internet.
It's always winter and there's no internet.
Not always winter, but winter when it should be winter.
It was winter today.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I know. It's Canada and it's cold and it's winter and it's actually
awful.
been a very mild, very mild winter.
Awful.
When I told Tim about how cold it was here, like bone chilling, he took great joy in that, and it like
It-
bothered me a little.
It should be. It's better cold than all kinds of snow.
Oh,
Is
Unless
it?
you've got a heated driveway like we've seen people with. Like, it's a lot of snow.
You don't even have a driveway.
No, exactly.
there's a couple in my neighborhood. They're quite distinguishable because like they're literally barren with anything. And I'm laying salt all day, all weekend. It's very annoying.
What?
I bet. They've got a heated
I
driveway.
say you can
Jeff is
see
saying.
it in a few of in my neighborhood. There
Makes
are
a huge
few
difference.
people like newer homes that have heated driveways.
Oh, have heated driveways.
and
yes.
it's easy to distinguish which ones they are because like they don't have a speck of snow.
Of
or
course
ice
not.
on
You
it.
crank it up. Doesn't matter how much snow it is. It all melts away.
Is that true, Jeff? If you have like 2 feet of snow, is it going to melt all the snow away?
I'm not sure. I'm maybe not 2 feet, but if you keep it on, it won't get to 2 feet. So like, and apparently
it'll-
the newer ones, they're like automated where it senses. It's got like a sensor, so it just knows to be on, and it just takes care of it.
Man, that sounds so sweet. Who'd want that?
Well, I would want to
Probably
run
a fortune.
I would want to run the cost benefit analysis of this, of the destruction of your driveway, put in a new one with this expensive stuff.
These seem like new homes.
Okay,
These seem
so-
like
so-
newer homes.
It's still factored into the price if you have to put in a new driveway. So the price of your driveway with everything on underneath. Let's say it is brand new, and most people aren't just buying new homes to have heated driveways in. Let's just give you that. So you don't have to get rid of the old one. You just put in the new one that has a heated driveway in it. And then you have to pay for the electricity cost, which I assume is probably pretty high. Does it, how many times would you have to pay someone to shovel your driveway before the heated driveway became profitable for you?
You're not wrong, but hopefully it's like, golf simulators. Like there's a price point,
Yeah.
and at a point when if I'm ever going to build a home, maybe at that point like it's not the most expensive thing. But you're not wrong. It like cost benefit analysis, probably just keep paying people to do it. But even when you pay people to do it, you pay them extra to, treat you like a VIP.
You probably have to tip them too, don't you?
Yeah, to be treated like a VIP, I'm sure you do.
Yeah, Tim doesn't know anything about being treated like a VIP. I brought
No, but I
Tim-
mean, like, if
when
you
we-
want them to come first or be part of
the person that shovels my driveway, I pay them extra to make sure that I'm first, and it's done by the time
Okay.
I wake up. It's great.
Tim doesn't understand that.
No, he doesn't. Like to put it this way, remember when we were in Montreal for President's Cup, Jeff?
Yes.
I brought Tim into the lounge with me, the airport lounge, and it's like he walked into I don't know. Some sort of like Russian oligarch's fancy room or something like that.
It was like Xanadu.
They're nice, but
They're
not
okay.
like,
They're like those are the-
it's a free
I
water.
could have as
It's a
much as
free
I
water
wanted. I
and
could have
Diet
as
Coke
much as
and-
I wanted of everything there.
and like biscuit cookies. Like it's
There
not
was
like,
no. There were hot meals being
Okay,
served.
sure. Yeah,
there
yeah,
was
no,
beer
sorry,
on
eggs
tap.
and
There was
bacon.
whiskey. There was there was like good food. There was unlimited DCs. It was legit.
and that's
you think that's what
not-
like
yeah.
Elon's suite would look like?
No, well, maybe, but no. I assume there'd be DCs. But no, look. That to me was living the good life.
Listen, it's nice. That's a nice perk. That's nice of Patty. He brought you in there.
It was
Good for
very
him.
kind, and I genuinely appreciated it.
And he gets like he appreciates that you appreciate it. So
And then
that's why it's easier to bring you back.
a lounge at the golf course that I thoroughly got to enjoy. And you would rather go drop money at the Keg Steak Sandwich Shop rather than take advantage of the beautiful stuff that we had there and the lounge that we had provided to us.
Nope. I was
Yes,
just
yes, that is
No.
exactly what happened.
no, we're there all day. Like I'm saying, at some point, like there's other really good food. They brought in like food
There were
trucks
multiple
from the
different foods they were bringing into the room. It wasn't the
I
same
know.
menu all day.
I thought maybe you had enough, like your value algorithm was so high on free food.
No,
we could,
no. There's no
like
maximum.
even the concept of me treating you to something, a sandwich and a soft pretzel, like was abhorrent to you.
I mean,
For
why should
anyone
you
to
waste
spend
your money? Why should you waste your money when we're getting the best of the best inside for free? It's insanity.
If people want more of the three of us in the offseason, this is what you're going to get when we have NFL shows when it comes down to it. Let's talk a little NFL. Ben Johnson is the new coach of the Chicago Bears, even after testing positive and getting his gold medal from the 1988 Olympics stripped from him, Tim. He rebounded like this.
Has there ever been a bounce back in sports history, quite like Ben Johnson?
One of the biggest ones ever. That Ben Johnson once raced a horse in PEI like 10 years ago. Anyway,
Ben Johnson, the football coach, must love Caleb Williams.
I would think so.
Yeah.
There's no other reason to take that job where, you're in division and know how difficult that difficult division is.
Is it?
Unless you are completely in love with Caleb, because he's had, a suite of choices last year and this year of jobs. So to choose the Bears means you'd never pick that job unless you were infatuated with that quarterback.
Well, what were the realistic jobs that he was going to take, Jeff? Chicago or Jacksonville?
Jacksonville was out when they interviewed Balky or kept Trent Balky around. And apparently there's a very embarrassing story about the ownership in Jacksonville that, that Johnson's camp initially declined the interview and the Jaguars, Shad Khan, begged his agent to have him do an interview. He did a virtual interview, but then also pretty much didn't even acknowledge Trent Baalke at all. I don't know, a very weird situation out of Jacksonville. If Ben Johnson wanted to be a coach this year, it seemed like it was the Raiders or the Bears.
I thought of Jeff on Saturday night when I saw Tom Brady there on the sidelines chatting before the game. And I was like, he might be chatting with Johnson about coming to the Raiders.
And I listened to that game with that, he is.
All I had in my mind's eye was you screaming and pointing at the television about how that can't be allowed to happen.
It shouldn't be. I don't care. If it's like an old man yelling at cloud take, I'm angry that people aren't bothered by such an obvious conflict of interest.
You feel about this the way I felt about no one wanting to get those sliders.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
When we were in Montreal, and I was panicked about how nobody wanted to go get the sliders when the sliders were gone.
Yeah, maybe.
Only you.
I'm telling you this right now. Do you think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be ho-hummy with Brady for their Super Bowl stuff?
That presumes they'll be in the Super
Bowl. Oh, assuming the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. Do you think they're going to
would be radio silence with them.
All access with Tom Brady?
He gets nothing.
Acting, if he wants to be a minority owner to the extent there's so many of them around the league, he can do the Fox job. If he wants to be the de facto president of the Raiders, he can't do the Fox job. That's bullshit. Don't even let's just get out of there. As for Ben Johnson, it's good for the Bears. It's nice that their ownership, did this. How good he'll be, who the fuck knows? He looks like he's got incredible scheme. So that's a start. And the Bears, I think, clearly made the right move. And if it fails, that'll suck. But I think this was the good move. This is the right move for him. I do question his decision making a little bit, this Mr. Johnson. Because he pretty much publicly, his whole thing with Washington last year, wanting no part in that. I like the joke because word got out that he said he didn't like it. The team is being run by a bunch of basketball guys, which I thought basketball guys at the time was a great joke, but clearly that hasn't aged very well. And I wouldn't have been impressed with his decision making if he wanted to join the Raiders, because who the fuck would want to do that? So good for him. He's in the Bears. That should be fun. I like it.
Do you think they're going to make the Super Bowl again next year, Tim, after you predicted them to make the Super Bowl this year?
I don't. The only advice I have is you always say it's important to have a backup that's a lot like the starter. So the Bears should just reach out to Cleveland and give DTR whatever he needs, so that they have both forms of him on the roster.
And I think people are strongly over exaggerating this whole he's so different than Jared Goff. He will just design a great scheme for a mobile quarterback.
Maybe.
Now it's
We'll
not
get to
going to
Jared
work.
Goff. Jared Goff cost his team a game. I need to talk about that a little bit when we get into it.
We will. We'll talk about the teams that are eliminated before we get into the games, and we got to fill some
Okay.
time here. I mean, we did a good job off the top filling the time, but I want to stick with the coaching right now. Like, out of all of the available jobs, like if you had to rank them, Jeff, do you think that the Bears was actually the best one?
No.
Do you think the Jets is,
Yeah.
which it is not?
Of the ones
I
left,
think
yes,
the
I do.
Jaguars is probably the best, other than the fact that Bulky was still there.
I agree.
He just seems like an owner. You get so much time there, I feel. You get a lot of leeway.
Except a
But
head coach.
I don't know.
Head coaches don't.
I mean, Urban
Oh,
Meyer's.
how about the fact that the Jets are a top 10 franchise? Speaking of credit that I haven't gotten. I forgot all about that when we were talking about how the Jets job wouldn't be attractive. Can we now concede that the Jets are indeed one of the marquee franchises in the league?
I don't think it's an attractive job for the reasons
Also, do you
are claiming it's an attractive
do
job.
you think that the Jets are more of a marquee franchise than the Pittsburgh Steelers?
They are the AFC's marquee franchise.
They're not.
Are they bigger than, like, you think they're more marquee than the Packers?
I didn't say that.
Are they?
Well,
The Packers aren't owned by anybody, so it's a different thing.
Yeah,
Their value is not quantifiable.
The Packers are worth something. So you're saying that the reason that the Packers aren't ahead of the Jets on that franchise value list is because they're publicly owned?
Publicly owned, and I don't think you could purchase them. Like, there'd be no mechanism to purchase them, I don't think.
You have to get everyone together for a vote.
But they're not as valuable or important as the Cowboys or the Giants or the Packers or maybe even the Bears. But like, they're the AFC's preeminent franchise.
Why? I mean, I said why, but do you want to tell us why they're on that list? And what all those teams on that list have in common?
They're in New York City.
They're not
co-owners of a big building.
There you go. It is the ownership of every single team in that top 10 owns its own building. If you do not own your own building, because based on what you've just told me and how that is interpreted, the most marquee team in the NFL is the Los Angeles Rams.
Well, I think the Cowboys are still more valuable.
Okay, then it's the Rams then. Sorry. They're the number 2 marquee franchise in the league.
The Rams are way up there with that big stadium,
But
and
they're
with
not.
Los
They own
Angeles
it.
becoming the NFL's mecca in a lot of ways.
So this is how you're choosing to say interest in a team now is the value
I am
of the
only
team
interested
based
in-
off the stadium. Wait until the Bills build their stadium. Is that publicly funded or is that privately funded, Jeff?
there's some public money, but I'm almost certain that the team is gonna own it.
Yeah, so now the Bills are going to pass a whole bunch of teams who are more important than them, and Gus is going to have to be like, all right, what if the Bills pass the Jets because they own a newer stadium?
Cross that bridge when we get to it.
It's a really grasping at straws type of thing here.
No, I don't think so. Took a
Of
lot of
course
heat for a
not.
long time
About what?
about how no one cares about the Jets and they're not that important, and they're like one of the top 10 most valuable franchises in
Well,
sports.
they're not that important. They own their own stadium.
Well, they are anyway. All right, fine.
So, but I want to hear your case about the Rams. No,
Keep denying me
the
credit.
Rams. Tell me more about the Rams and how valuable that they are and how important they are to the NFL.
They're in a major market stadium that they own and that they get rental money from another franchise for, in like the place that the NFL is sort of making its second home.
Okay, that continue.
They're very good. They have good marketable players, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
What do you think, Jeff? How do you feel about the Rams in terms
Jeff
of
brought it up. Jeff brought it up to give me credit in our thread.
Yeah, listen, I saw it. I'm just like, hey, Tim would like this.
Thank you.
Jets are worth a lot of money. This works for his preeminent franchise label.
Do you agree with that, Jeff?
No, I mean, there are a lot of factors. Yeah, no. I mean, they're worth a lot of money. I wouldn't say they're more important to the NFL than the Pittsburgh Steelers, like Tim is.
I would tend to agree with you. And I don't think that no one said that the Jets weren't worth a lot of money, Tim.
Not just that. It's prestige.
They're probably the most overvalued franchise in the league.
Stop it.
I mean, they're not even they share a stadium with one other team, and that team is worth more money.
No, of course the Giants are a bigger team. Of course they are. It's okay.
Thank you for getting us off track with Ben Johnson here, talking about the coaches.
Well, whatever. Like Ben Johnson went to the Bears. I don't know if it's a good decision or not.
Do you like the Jets rumors?
Yeah,
I like the Jets. Okay, sure.
Let's talk about the Jets then. Did you know that the Jets, all of a sudden, Tim, tell us about Aaron Glenn.
He's a former Jet. He has been coaching the Bears defense or Lions defense, sorry, for the last 3 years. Particularly this year when the cupboard was completely bare because of terrible injuries. He put together a pretty respectable effort given the real lack of players that they had, and he seems like a good motivator. I hope that having been under Dan Campbell for a few years, he would have picked up some tricks and skills about being aggressive on fourth down and how to run a franchise and how to hire good coordinators. And I'm hopeful. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he'll be a good coach. Maybe he won't. But he'll also go into New York knowing what it's like to be in and around the New York Jets, and because of his playing days there, and seemed to have been a pretty competent defensive coordinator. And we'll see. And we'll see if he can staff up some good OCs.
Do you think it's funny, Jeff, that Tim is now very excited for someone from the Sean Payton coaching tree?
I call it the Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell from the Sean Payton coaching tree.
I call it the Dan Campbell tree. It's a separate tree. It's an acorn that fell off the oak tree and it grew a brand new tree. And this is this tree.
I like that. I actually didn't think about that. Seems like a good hire.
Yeah,
Seems like there are other teams that are interested in him. Seems like, like on the surface, like, speaking to Tim at the onset of the process, it seems like a lot of like what Flores brings without like some of the negative stuff that Flores brings. So maybe this is really good, or would be really good for the Jets.
Well, I'll throw this back to you, Jeff, before I ask Tim. What is the difference between Aaron Glenn and Robert Saleh?
I mean, I don't know.
Like, it's the exact same hire, just like 3 years later.
Yeah, sure. You hope this one works. That was one of the dumbest button pushes they did. They just had to replace the kicker and not the coach, and they're probably playing important December games. I'm confident when I say that, actually.
Now, do you think this Aaron Glenn thing, I theorized, Tim, that this wasn't even a Brick Johnson hire. This was a Woody Johnson hire because he thinks that Aaron Glenn is son of American hero John Glenn.
Then we're going to outer space.
Maybe you can win a game
with
there.
This hire.
You couldn't go to London and win a game. Maybe you can go to space and do it.
Well, we'll see. We're going to London again.
And what are the rumors that Aaron Glenn is apparently, there's some rumblings that would be attached to Rodgers?
I have read that. There's rumblings that he'd like to keep Rodgers.
And how do you feel?
Well, I feel like if you make that decision, then you have got to be very organized as a coach. Because what was the difference between Glenn and Saleh is that we know that when the rubber met the road, Saleh wasn't able to do the organizational coaching stuff that a head coach needs to do. He proved himself to be a marvelous defensive coach, but he did not seem to have a command of the team and of, or the sort of the fallout from the quarterback, where he mismanaged the whole thing with Zach Wilson last year, and he didn't do a great job with Rodgers this year. And so like that type of organizational stuff, he didn't thrive with. Now, Glenn may have the same problems. He may not have those problems. I don't know. But you asked me what the difference is, that we know that Saleh had these issues. We don't know whether Glenn does. Now, Saleh may be a better defensive coach. Granted, I think he might be. But, I don't know. If we keep Rodgers for a year, then, there's got to be some guardrails in place. There needs to be quick hooks. There has to be a plan to bench him if he struggles. There has to be... I don't know. There has to be. You can't just let him run wild this year.
But wouldn't Glenn being the new person there? You'd argue Aaron being your dirty toy at this point to Woody. Aaron would be higher than Glenn would be higher than Rodgers in the Woody. In the Woody hierarchy.
Yeah, but that still means but that doesn't mean you just start imposing your authority immediately in a way that would cause people to bristle. It's a very delicate circumstance. But if everybody can come together and everyone can agree for the good of the franchise to play well, like, they have the best players at every position, they'd be fine. But that doesn't mean that it's going to work. And I don't know, they may have their heart set on a quarterback we're not thinking of it with the 10th pick, or trading up, or someone in the second round to bring along.
Second round of the Eagles for McKee.
I would take McKee or Joe Milton in a heartbeat compared to most
for your second.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Like, we're just going to waste it.
You didn't even have it. You didn't even have it, right? You've already.
That was last year's second we lost, I thought.
How
can you traded out for Adams? What are you talking about?
Oh, is that what we gave up for? I thought we gave up a third for Adams.
Last year's, or maybe you did, but I don't know.
Last year's second was for Rodgers.
I actually think Telesco maximized the Adams trade.
Sure. I mean, Adams played fine down the. I don't know, man. Like, Glenn seems to be well attached to the Jets, and nothing's official, but it seems like it's trending that way. I don't hate the hire. I think it's fine. If he can bring in some competent people around him, I think it could work.
Do you think it's a red flag that he wants to coach the Jets? Like, that would be like, ooh, boy, that's a tough scene. We don't like your decision making.
I'd rather the Jets than the Saints.
He's a former Jet. He knows what it's like to be there. Like, and if you succeed in New York, there's nothing like it. Succeeding for the Saints or the Bears or whoever, that's great, and there's a lot of notoriety. But it ain't nothing like New York.
Did you just
the
put
Bears person will be a hero?
Yeah. It is nothing like New York.
Like the Bears coach, dude, they still do Ditka's still a fucking legend. Like, any semblance of that.
So is Joe Namath, and it's much older.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, whoever returns the Jets will be a hero. Whoever returns the Bears will be a hero. A hero.
I don't know if it's a stale line or not, but currently I'm looking at the odds for Saints' next head coach, and Glenn is the heavy favorite.
Oh,
I think
so
if the Jets do not hire
maybe
him,
he didn't hire. Maybe he left New York without a deal, and that's gotten out.
I have read that if the Jets balk, he's going to take the Saints job.
Well, did you see the wording that Rappaport that the Jets put out about Glenn being in the building? Jeff, did you see this?
They didn't want him to leave.
Yeah. It was like fucking they hired Jigsaw as their GM. It's a saw trap. Aaron Glenn not allowed to leave the building. It's impossible.
Would you like to sign a contract?
Seems like Kevin O'Connell just got a big extension.
If Glenn doesn't go, though, then I don't know what we're going to do. I'm sure we'll have a plan. We did interview 500 people.
Well,
I think Flores is the backup plan.
33rd team has to earn that money, Tim.
They have been.
Flores. If you don't get Glenn, I think it's Flores.
Could be. Dallas interviewed him, and I know it sounds like not the person you would be super enthused with. Leslie Frazier would be a good Jets coach because he's competent.
You deserve him.
He's serious.
Good.
He would not do dumb things. If he learned to be a little bit more aggressive on fourth down, I think Leslie Frazier would actually be a very good, disciplined coach for that team.
You'd want Marvin Lewis.
I would take Marvin Lewis. I would take that type of person who has a proven track record of some success, and is a serious person. I don't want a 33-year-old offensive coordinator. Maybe it'll work, but it's just as likely not to work.
I think I would want to go young at offensive coordinator. I'd want to go old defensive coordinator, young offensive coordinator.
No, but I'm saying as a head coach.
Yeah, I don't think that really matters. You just need someone who has a bit of leadership, and maybe I don't think I'd want like some 70-year-old dude in there, unless it was Pete Carroll, because he seems like he has the vibrancy of a 45-year-old.
There's some rumblings. Carroll is of the backup plan for the Raiders now.
I could see that actually.
Yeah, it didn't shock me.
Like it's a rebuild. Tear it down. Let him bring in players. Let them coach him up, and then let them bring in like a real coach.
Yeah, it's a big job, right? You have a defensive end and a tight end. It's a big ask. You can only hope that there'd be a big enough runway for someone to be able to pull it off.
We've seen it. Just hire or just draft the right quarterback, and you can blink and be all the way to the championship game.
Listen, you draft the right quarterback, you hire the coach who gave up like a 40 burger at home to the Green Bay Packers, and boom, with a bunch of basketball guys in ownership, with a Golden State Warriors GM, and you get to go to the NFC title game.
Because Dan Quinn learned some lessons from his time in Atlanta, and he deserves some credit for that.
But it's like what's happening with Washington right now is like it doesn't matter how like it is what keeps. I guess the Chargers have always been in a bit of a better place because they've had like stability at quarterback, which allows them to be like competitive and hurt me in different ways. But you sort of like what's happening now to the Redskins is how like a Jets
Oh,
fans can
Jeff.
breathe. Like how sorry. But like it's what gives like Tim life and fans of teams in the worst spot life.
Yeah, I mean, I had it
That-
happen to me, right? I had it happen to me out of nowhere in 2009, where the Jets were wandering in the desert, and then all of a sudden they made the AFC Championship game.
I would argue that that's way different though, because
There it was. The defense
Yeah.
was unbelievable. It's like the mirror image of Washington,
yeah,
where it was the defense that was all world out of nowhere that brought them to a championship game.
yeah, but like, wouldn't you rather be invested in like, oh my God, this quarterback
Yes.
might be the guy, and he's the one getting
Yes, of
us
course.
there.
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
So the difference between him and Sanchez would be huge in that sense. Sanchez was fine when he first came in.
Was-
Like,
yeah.
he did exactly what he was supposed to do and let the defense dominate games. It's everything that Zach Wilson could have done last year for them.
All you needed was a Sean Green to smash through that Chargers defensive line.
And rush for 10,000 yards.
What an electric year he had.
I face smashed onto my driveway, drunk. That
You-
was like, I like stumbled out of a buddy's car. I was like found later.
And listen, you made it. That's what I'm talking about with this Twitter thing. You made it through the tough part, and here you are today. You're still going. The Colts hired the Bengals defensive coordinator to be their defensive
He was
coordinator.
good. They were
was-
good until
yeah.
last year. And last year was just a year from hell for the Bengals. He was touted as a head coaching potential candidate last offseason. So,
He'd been getting interviews for a
yeah,
couple
so
years.
I'm not sure that that's the worst hire. And to
I don't-
replace
I don't
Gus
hate
Bradley
it.
with him, I don't think is the worst hire. I think
Yeah,
that's fine.
I don't hate it. I mean, sure you could do better. I'm sure there's teams that are waiting for Robert Saleh to like not get hired and see if he would want their job. But I don't think it's that. I don't. It's like a low hanging fruit to
Saleh
like
should take
bash
the
the
year
Colts
off.
for that. But I don't mind that.
Saleh
Colts
should
hire.
honestly just take the year off. The Jets are paying him all kinds of money.
He might
Take
be.
a couple of years to detoxify from that.
He might be the Jag. The Jags might hire him to be the head coach.
You could do worse. I mean, he's a very, very, very good defensive coach. I just didn't think he had think he had the right stuff to be a head coach.
So the Jags, to my understanding, Salah, Liam Cohen are the two to keep an eye on there.
And he was in San Francisco and Balky was there too, right?
Yeah, I guess he would have been.
So yes,
Yeah,
I know
so
who-
long ago.
I know who the Jets' next head coach is going to be. I have the inside scoop on this. Do you want to?
Well,
know
they,
who it is?
they interviewed 20 people, so go ahead and spin a wheel.
I think it's someone they haven't interviewed yet. I think Mike McCarthy honestly ends up as their coach.
I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate it. Like I wouldn't be like the world's most excited person about it, but I wouldn't hate it either.
And I don't know
He's
what
got
that
a lot of wins under his belt. He wins a lot of games.
I don't know what that would mean for Rodgers, but maybe they reunite. Who knows? Or they just start over again.
That didn't end well.
Well, does it ever end well?
Yeah, that's a
Up
tough
to him.
circumstance. Like they had but Mike is apparently expected. I mean, you just put the Saints odds up. Is he the second favorite?
He
Because
is.
people thought
He
that
is,
he would
yes.
be the pivot if the Jets get Aaron Glenn. The Saints will then hire Mike McCarthy, is what I've been hearing. Are there Jets? Like, is Aaron Glenn also the favorite for the Jets right now, or has there been news? Like, I know we mentioned it a few minutes ago.
Not
but-
seeing any.
I haven't seen any Jets odds up, honestly, the entire time. There's too many people in play. They just don't want to put odds up.
Yeah, Rex Ryan is out there advocating for his own job all the time.
or whatever.
I hope he gets it. But I think it's going to be Mike McCarthy. I think that would make the most sense. And then Rodgers ends up. Where do you think Rodgers would end up? Because he'd play. I guarantee if the Jets cut him, he will go and play for one of these measly contracts and collect his Jets money. And I think it would be Minnesota, and then they don't re-sign Darnold.
No, I think that he would go to Oakland. I think
Raiders.
he'd
yeah.
be welcome there too.
Raiders.
Would they have
His
to,
last
would they
month
hold on,
wasn't horrible.
Would they? I agree with you. Would they have to trade for Devontae Adams back?
Oh, that would be funny. I don't know how that would work. That's full
I
circle.
don't know if you're allowed to trade a player back to a team that you traded for.
Listen, the final month of tape on the season for Rodgers is good enough for him to get that fucking job.
Gee,
or
I
one
said
of
that
these
on this
totally
show for a month, and you guys excoriated me.
No,
but
no,
now
he
And we
didn't.
it's
still
the
lost.
truth.
I was the guy betting the Jets. Shut up.
And then he had that
Excoriated
Bills
me
game.
about
That was not very good.
The Bills game didn't go well, although according to Cam, they were in that game, even they were down 40 to nothing. But then they played great. Like, he played really well the last 6 weeks of the year. 5 of those 6 games, he played really, really well. So, that level of Rodgers, they would have won 9 or 10 or 11 games.
Do you see how Lamar took the heat for the bad interception? He didn't blame it on the receiver for running the wrong route.
Well, it was his fault.
Was it?
That was, but it wasn't his. You got to feel terrible for somebody who you ask him in the biggest moment of his career to lead his team for the game-tying touchdown, and he does it.
No, I have a whole theory about this of what.
And Mark
happened.
Andrews drops the ball because Paul, I'm sure will agree with this. Had he caught, Buffalo was going to lose that game.
No.
There's no way the Bills were winning that game.
No.
They were not going to win that game.
What happened?
That game was over.
No, that's the stance you're taking. The game
You
was
could
over.
see Buffalo had a chance to win the game and couldn't.
But you couldn't
And you
see
got the
Buffalo
sense that
getting
they
to
were
field goal
wobble-
range? What are you
No,
talking about?
They were wobbling. They were
Okay, listen, I agree. It
They
would
were
have been
on the way out.
It was definitely big gulp, but for you to be over no chance when they would have had a minute and a half to kick a field goal, and 2 would have had a 50-50 chance of getting the ball first in overtime.
Yeah, I'm just saying they looked like they were dead on their feet.
You are so pathetic.
I know
this
it's
is-
really bad. Wait, do you know? No, Cust is taking Philadelphia this week only because he does not want Jaden Daniels to go to the Super Bowl. So people start saying that Jaden Daniels is better than Lamar.
I hadn't decided who I was going to take in this game, and I asked Kenny Kim about it too, and he said, "Take whoever you want." So
you want to take Philly just because of that one reason. And
I don't want anybody taking that number 2 spot over Lamar. You're right. I'm protective of that.
The number 2 what?
Overall quarterback spot. I still think it's his.
Whatever. That's.
You're really the only one who really seems to care about this. It's all meaningless if none of them can beat Mahomes.
That's all you can hope for, I suppose. When it's
there's
18,
no shame
when it's 18
in losing,
against 11, it's hard to beat Mahomes.
There's no shame in losing to Mahomes.
No, there isn't.
You look at a guy like Allen or Sean McDermott, if they can't win this weekend, you're like, how hard are you really going to be on these guys for not being able to beat Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid? I would have a great deal of sympathy for that. I don't know, Tim. You're really pathetic. Tim is in such a pretzel frame. No, your whole shtick, that whole shtick, the Bills won the game. You've been so hard on them. Did they get lucky? Did breaks go their way? Sure, but they didn't turn the ball over. And they
they earned it.
And then your first comments on the game was you're still grasping for air.
My first comments was I felt really bad for Lamar that he did what he had to do, and
that sucks. I hope
that's
they
frustrating.
hate Mark Andrews should never play for the Ravens again.
No.
Trade the Chargers. He sucks.
The Ravens have had some pretty tragic losses in the playoffs for the last little while. That game they lost to the Patriots, they had two touchdown
Who dropped the ball?
The Lee Evans game.
The Lee Evans drop.
That's
No, that's not even the biggest one. The biggest one is the AFC title game when the kicker missed the 28-yard field goal, also against the Patriots, to put the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and the Ravens not to make overtime. That was a different championship game.
Matt Stover, who missed the kick?
Yeah, it was Stover. It was the last year before, I think it was Stover, but certainly the last year before Tucker played for the Ravens. He missed a 28 or 32-yard field goal. And then, they lost a game against the Patriots. They had a 2-touchdown lead twice. They had the Lee Evans game where he dropped a pass. The Ravens have had some real tragic playoff losses.
After he missed the short field goal, he had to yell at the ceiling and yell at the sky to make it known that a warrior was coming to Stover Core. And that's really the reason why he shanked that on purpose. No, here's the real take here. And this is dead serious. Lamar threw it to Andrews, and Andrews, Jeff, dropped it on purpose, knowing that it looks better for Lamar to prevent Josh Allen from going back down the field and winning the game. And then they hang it on Lamar. This way, they hang it on good guy Mark Andrews. Lamar comes out smelling like roses. That's a good teammate right there.
That is some fifth
I just
dimension
know
chess
Tim
that
is
I don't-
Like in some ways, Tim, because he thinks Buffalo's so bad, he should be happy that they won, because then it's such an easier game for the Chiefs, who therefore like can achieve his ultimate goal of diminishing the Patriots'
That's all I have left. Now.
stature. So now it's this game of either either the Bills make the Super Bowl, which crush him, or Mahomes goes back and he will now claim that like Brady is
Not
irrelevant.
yet. Can't claim it yet, but it's like we're moving down that
But
path.
you
We're
are
getting
looking
closer
like
to it.
that is your plan. That is on your game. That is on your game board, right?
Yeah, in like a couple of years. We're not there yet.
But if the Bills go, then what?
Well, then they have a chance for a 5th Super Bowl loss.
Does your dad hate the Bills? Like also, like are you guys team up
No.
as anti-division?
No, my dad only dislikes the Patriots. Doesn't even dislike the Jets. Says very kind things about the Jets.
Because he's not like you.
You're right. I can't stand the AFC East teams. And like there's a rotation of how I feel about each team at all time. I mean, the Patriots are always number one, but like then there's space for the Bills or Dolphins to move around depending on how I feel.
We both have
Like-
division rivals. in
Look, the Bills
game.
earned. Look, the Bills obviously earned the game. They had the game at home and they won the game. I've never seen a playoffs in my life, and I can't remember one where like turnovers have been like so fundamental to how playoff games went. It started right off the top where your quarterback who had 3 interceptions all year threw 4
Yeah.
and lost a game. And Darnold, who was very, very careful with the ball this year, turned it over a ton and they lost the game. And then this week,
The Eagles, the
Goff-
Packers, the first
the
kickoff
Packers
of the
had a-
game.
turned it over. Goff lost single-handedly. Jared Goff lost that playoff game for the Lions single-handedly by turning the ball over as many times as he did. And then the Ravens turned it over 4 or 5 times. Like turnovers are always critical, obviously, but I don't remember playoffs where this number of turnovers were taking places in games that completely sort of sidelined everything else.
Yeah.
But it's the case.
Let's talk about Detroit then. Another team who had some fun turnovers. Is this their ceiling with Jared Goff?
It's tough, Pat.
I think you almost got to consider moving on from him.
No, I don't know that it's their ceiling. I just mean, like, I don't, like, let's just be real about it. Like, he's good. He's great in the situation. He's excelled, but he's not like an ultra high level quarterback. They're now losing coordinators. Like, the magic will be hard to, will just be harder to replace. I don't want to say the window is like closed, but what a fucking lost opportunity. 'Cause I don't know how much bigger that
2 years in a
window
row.
can actually
2
be.
years in a row that they had fantastic opportunities. And they
Like
didn't
how
get it
big
done.
is the window when you don't actually have an elite quarterback?
I mean,
like
this-
how big is the window?
This might be it, but Tim, how quickly will the media turn on Dan Campbell if they're not
Right.
good?
I hope not.
Probably pretty quickly. They'll say, was he a product of his
coordinators.
coordinators? Could happen. But like we said on this show for weeks and weeks and on the live show for weeks that just like sooner or later, Darnold was going to blow up and ruin everything. That it was going to happen with Goff. Happened earlier than any of us, I think, wanted it to happen outside of Washington.
I mean, they
fans,
couldn't
but-
get a stop, so that was.
They couldn't get a stop. But look, that defense was not the problem.
They always played with margin for error. Like they always had a margin for
You can't
error
have
every
5
game,
turnovers.
and then all of a sudden, there was
And
no
the defense
margin
didn't
of
give
error
up
left.
45 points. There was a pick 6, so they didn't even give up 45 points.
And we talked as much like I talked about it with Darnold, and we kind of copy and pasted it onto Goff. It's what happens when they actually need to make the throws and come back. It's really easy to be a front running quarterback, and everyone's open, and you have all the everyone thinks you're going to run out the clock because you're up by 2 touchdowns, and he can just throw the entire time. What happens in the inverse? And that's what that's what we learned about Lamar. Lamar can come back on you, and we saw Josh Allen do it all year. We know Mahomes can do it. Burrow basically had to do it every single game because his defense was terrible the entire season. Like that's why those guys are on a different level, and why you always consider those. That's why no one really gave up on Cincinnati making the playoffs. Like they got Joe Burrow, that could be good enough.
Daniels can do it, and we'll see about Hurts. If that game gets out to like a 14-0 Washington lead, can Philadelphia come back? I don't know.
I don't know either. Do you think there's a chance? Like I don't know how injured Hurts is, and we'll get to that game, in the second part of the show.
I think he's injured.
I think
Yeah,
he's
I think
injured
he's
too.
injured.
Do you think they could make a move here and put in your boy Tanner McKee?
I was calling for it after the safety when he could not move.
I don't think he's the backup. I think Pickett's the backup.
Well, then you might as well just take then that will be like the Eagles 49ers championship game from 2 years ago. You might as well just bring in an injured quarterback who can only hand off. Like, come on, McKee can actually throw the ball.
Leaving McKee on the bench for Pickett would give Tim like vibes of Wayne Gretzky and Nagano.
That's right, giving Ray Bork a penalty shot instead of Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't like it. Just looks really bad. I hope Jalen is okay.
Yeah, we need the Eagles to win that game, Jeff. We desperately need it. I don't care if they cover; they need to win that game.
Yes. As for Jaden Daniels, like it is just marvelous. It's marvelous.
Well, we've never seen it
to
before.
Watch. And if you actually, I went back to see because we all pretty much said if he, and I think it's was almost a consensus unless you're like a hater. Like if he could stay healthy. Because his legs were little twigs. We made mention of that in the preseason show. He's probably going to be amazing. And he has stayed healthy, and he is amazing with those little twiggy legs that have lasted this whole season. That was my concern for him, and he's done it. It is incredible watching him play. Marvelous.
Jaden Daniels sells like Shawn Michaels, man. Like when he gets hit, he gets annihilated. Then he just gets up. It's like, okay, maybe it's like pro wrestling out there. Who knows? We saw the spread.
Whereas Mahomes is also like pro wrestling, where someone comes near him and he sells out like he's been he's been pancaked.
Well,
I don't know.
That was the first thing that Cust brought up. Like when I was like, I was watching the game and I was doing something else. And I went back to the group chat and Cust was just complaining about the refs and Mahomes. That like, it's triggered two things that is just the worst thing in the world. It's the Chiefs only won because of the refs. The refs are on the Chiefs' side. Like we didn't watch every single Monday Night Football game and complain about how terrible the reffing was. It's not why the Chiefs won the game. It's that the Texans suck. That's why they lost the game. They couldn't block and they couldn't make a field goal. They had no chance to win. That was the end of it. But then you have all the Chiefs fans being like, no, and then like it turns it back on itself that they're basically like the Patriots people I hated 10 years ago. It's awful. I like the Chiefs. I like Patrick Mahomes, but I don't want their fans to ruin this for me.
Shouldn't he have gotten a 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct for diving there?
Sure, but that's not a call they make. And like, if we really look at it in real time, like when you first, like if you're putting yourself into the 90-year-old Jeff's dad out on the field who's making these calls, like from the angle he was standing at, it probably did look like a helmet to helmet. It's just when you slow it down and look at it, it's like, oh no, it wasn't.
Right, but they have review now where they can automatically
No, you can't. You can't overturn that call.
They said on the broadcast you could.
It was like in the Monday night game with the Rams in Minnesota when the call was overturned for the touchdown for Minnesota on the forward pass. They ruled that it was a forward pass. Now, it was probably intentionally grounding, but they can't add on the intentional grounding because of the review. They can just say it was a forward pass and it's not a fumble.
To my understanding, if the roughing the passer has to do with the head and neck area, it is not reviewable, which is weird. But there are other elements of roughing the passer that would be like if a defender was pushed in low to the quarterback, that is something they could look at. But anything involving the head and neck area is something that is just that they don't even play around with that. I do not believe it's insane to think the Chiefs won that game because of the refs. The Texans shat themselves. I say that with all due respect as the team that shat themselves to the Texans, but they gave up 8 fucking sacks. It's 2nd and 2 in the red zone and you take like a 10-yard sack. Are you fucking insane?
Like, the worst was deciding to go for it on 4th down with 6 seconds on the clock. And then just snapping it anyway.
Well, there was the big one that came out after the game. It's like the teams that have gained this many yards and done this in the playoffs have never lost. Thanks, refs. It's like, well, one of the reasons that the Texans were able to gain so much yardage is they kept getting fucking sacked. I mean, yeah, they gave up, the Chiefs would give up 18 yards on a 3rd and 21. Great. That's what they were trying to do.
Well, now the Chiefs are here. They just seem inevitable. I just want.
No, I think the Bills win.
I hope you're right.
I mean, I kind of hope I'm wrong for the bet that I have, Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl. But
the thing is, like Brady got annoying. Mahomes and the Patriots and Brady got annoying. Now Mahomes kind of feels like people are rooting against them. Maybe it's because I was 10 years old, but I was never like no one I knew like rooted for Karl Malone to beat Michael Jordan. Like no one. No one was rooting for Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns to beat Michael Jordan. But it feels like gonna get to the Super Bowl. And most people are just gonna be like, "Yeah, fuck it. I just want to see them lose." The Chiefs, that is.
Is this 14 consecutive years, Tim, of Mahomes or Brady in an AFC Championship game?
Yep, it's the most. It's been them ever since that Steelers Jets one in 2010.
Hustler calls it it's like a golf tournament. It's a Kansas City Chiefs Invitational, the AFC title game. It's a fuck, man. Oh, they're so good. Whatever. I hope they don't win. All respect to everything they do there. I just hope they don't win.
Tim, were you on the take that NFL games shouldn't be played in weather? I saw that I think it was you who was mad about that.
I didn't say they shouldn't be. I don't think there's anything you can do about it. I just think it's really unfortunate when the most important games get affected unfairly.
What did you call the best major last year and argued with us?
That major is all about inclement weather, though.
And
that is the whole purpose of that.
December major. Football, like, is about playoff.
Well,
like,
is it?
If
yeah,
where do the Super Bowls get played?
The Super Bowl isn't a real game.
Yeah, it's not a real exactly.
It's a marketing. It's a business and marketing opportunity.
That's why Tim, losers like me and you are allowed to hold on to like the AFC championship, like those Super Bowl logos. They mean a lot, even when you lose, because the game itself is fake.
This is the weekend. We've always talked about this. This is the best. Or last weekend's probably the best weekend. But like this is the one with the stakes. This feels real. Yes. And then everything with the Super Bowl just feels, especially now, it feels so put together. Just it doesn't feel real in a weird way.
Like if your team's in it, it feels very real. I'm sure.
But like
everything else you said if your team's not in it, I absolutely agree. I'll rinse and repeat, like, the Super Bowl fucking sucks. Like week 1 crushes the Super Bowl. Like that's how I judge my friends.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Brian Schottenheimer feeling like, at least by the odds board, a runaway favorite for Cowboys head coach.
Tim, you know him well.
He was the offensive coordinator when the Jets made those 2 championship games.
Former Charger staffer too under Dad. So I got respect for the brand that is Schottenheimer football, but it just doesn't. It just feels like it's Jason Garrett. Like it just such a fucking patsy. I don't know. It just feels like they're so tarnished there.
I don't hate it. You got to bring somebody in who knows the offense, who. I don't know. Like he's got a lot of coaching experience. He's never been a head coach. I don't know. I don't hate it.
What's he been up to? Like, where has he been?
Dallas, I believe.
He was in Seattle too for a while, right?
Has he just been in Dallas calling the plays after Kellen left?
This year.
Yeah, this year he did it, right?
But previously, like he was under Pete Carroll for a while.
Who are the next guys? Like, is Dion out? No more Dion? Because I kind of maybe Dion. We need to will Dion to the Jets. That's what we need.
I don't think he even interviewed him. And they interviewed everybody.
There's no way. I don't. Kellen Moore, I guess, is also a rumor for the Cowboys.
Like,
they liked him so much they shouldn't have let him leave.
Yeah, what was the point of letting him go then?
And Dan Quinn.
Well, Dan Quinn at least left to take a head coaching job.
Yeah. Like
he did become the OC of a division rival.
McCarthy wanted to call the plays. It was getting awkward. McCarthy never picked him because he was like Jerry's guy from the Garrett.
The mistake was letting McCarthy coach on a 1-year contract. If you really weren't certain whether you were going to bring McCarthy back, there was no reason to keep him this year. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. How live do you think Joe Brady's going to be if the Bills make the Super Bowl to be one of these coaches?
I don't know. Do teams just want QB draw as their main play? Because, like, unless that's what teams are looking for, I don't think I'd be interested in Joe Brady.
To be fair, were you watching the game on Sunday? Because I spent watching
Yes.
it, listening to Romo. He was begging the Bills to like be drawing with Josh Allen, and they really weren't in the
No,
second
because you
half
can't
at
get
all.
because you can't get him killed.
That's when you get him killed. The divisional round is when
No,
like
you get him killed. No, like
yes, at the divisional round, like I agree, like they won the game. They didn't have to get him killed. But like once the playoffs start, it is time for your quarterback.
but you want him to get through the game.
You want to yes, but you have to win the game. You have to win the game.
You do, but like you don't want to get him killed.
And they're running it so effectively. We'll talk about it when we break
You
down
just
the
have to
next
be
one. But
very, very selective when you use it. That's all.
if they could run like that versus the Chiefs, they will go to the Super Bowl. They will if they can. It will be no easy task, but they did it versus the Ravens, so maybe they can do that again versus the Chiefs. They will go to the Super Bowl.
All right. Well, that brings us to the midway point of the show, which means it's time for a mini version of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
So, I mean, like, so this is not the biggest problem in the world,
No.
but like, here's the thing. If you're like me, and when the new year comes, you set your mind to try to eat better, try to exercise, try to show some restraint, why is it that all of the fast food places give out the best deals in January? So good that you can't resist.
Coops.
Like
Coops.
the best coops. Like
The
you got
coupon
Harvey's
wallets
doing
are loaded.
the coop. You know, got Harvey's doing 2 for $8 hamburgers. You got Dairy Queen doing 2 for $8 double cheeseburgers. You got McDonald's giving out fantastic meal deals that you can use up to 4 times as a coop. That's like $8.39 or something for all these various meals that you can use multiple times. Everywhere has the best deals, and like I don't want to eat this stuff. I'd rather eat like healthier stuff. But then you see these deals, and they say, you know, for a limited time only because they are going to go away. Like, how can you not take advantage of these deals? And like, I don't know why companies don't do this in March, do this in April, do this in May. Don't do it now when people like me are trying to get into some healthier habits. Why do you have to do it now?
And they do it so much of the year.
No, but not like this. I find like I've noticed this that like
Yeah,
January is like the best time for some of the best coupons. And like I don't want to see those coupons.
So you
Like what am I going to do?
you
I'm only
can
human.
use-
I'm only
you-
human. I'm going to
you-
have to go.
You have what you're saying is on the app. You have 4 2 can dine uses of the coupon.
Well, I don't know if the 2 can dine is like that. But I mean like there's a coupon.
You aren't wrong. I've used coupons and they don't disappear. They're still
Yeah,
available for me
there's
to
the
use.
I think it's the meal deal coupon. Right now, it's like $8.59 for like any number of their meals, like Big Mac, quarter pounder, filet of fish, chicken nuggets, and it's like you can use it up to 4 times before it expires. Like, oh my god, I got to do that.
You
'Cause
don't
it won't
have
come back,
to.
but it
You
won't
don't
come
have
back
to.
again for. It won't come back again.
But like,
for a
what are you
while.
saving? Like $2? Like
At
you're
least,
really.
well, 2
So
times
well,
4 is
why?
8.
I'm not trying to diminish the value of $2 and what that could mean, but I'm just trying to say, like in the core, you're saving
It's
$1.50,
such a
$2.
good deal.
You
It's
think
such a
that's
good
worth
deal.
sacrificing your health
Yeah,
for?
well, it's not.
No, but you're making these decisions. Like, what do you say? Like, you have to remind yourself. Like, it says coupon. It shows you it's cheaper. It's not that much cheaper, is
But
it?
it is no, but it's not that much. But then you see it at such a great price, and then it's like not just there, like 2 double cheeseburgers for $8 at Dairy Queen. My God, that's such a steal. And then you see like the Harveys have it any way you want it. Hamburger cheese originals, 2 for $8. Like, and there's no GST on them right now. Just like, oh man, like I want that.
I love you.
And like, I really wish it were taking place in March or April. Let me set my healthy habits. Like, I just find like in January, these places are like putting a stick in the spokes of my wheels by like not letting me get off the ground.
You
Few
gotta have the
things here.
willpower, man.
You really? It's not your fault Arnold wasn't your kindergarten teacher, but he could have told you that you are soft and you lack discipline because you do. lack discipline. That's the whole thing here. Because why wouldn't they run the deals in January? People are trying to get fit. People want to go to the gym. People are going to try to eat better, at least for the first few weeks, and you shove coupons in their face, you get them completely derailed, then you got them back hooked for the entire year.
And people feel broke out of the holidays, so the coupon makes you feel like, oh, okay, I'm gonna save a few bucks.
But like, I'll come
spend all
back
my money.
later. It's not like I'm going anywhere.
Yeah,
so
they
like,
know you're not going anywhere.
So why not just give? You know what I should be able to do then?
Lock
I
out
should
the
be
coupons?
able to delay the coupon. I should be able to say I would like to pick my window where this coupon is eligible.
Oh my God, no, because they'll just replenish. They're seasonal. They're seasonal coupons.
But they're not always as good, Jeff, is the point. These are some of the best ones right now.
Like I don't like Monopoly because they literally stop giving coupons for a month. And I don't care about Monopoly.
Well, you and I differ on that. But there are some...
I know, but I'm just saying.
But it's not just McDonald's. All these places have some of the best deals. Like KFC's got some good deals going on right now. And like you drive by and you go, oh my God, I can't just go home and cook a plain chicken breast with spring greens, because like there is 2 for $8 double cheeseburgers out there.
I don't know, man. Like
it's I'm not alone. There are many of us for whom this is a significant temptation, and I really wish there would be like take a break for
people full price.
Take a break for a month from these enticements to let those of us who are trying to get on schedule to get on schedule.
Wouldn't Charles Darwin say this is just like getting rid of the weak?
Well,
like you can't handle.
Darwin's also misquoted. Darwin believed about that the strongest wasn't the strongest that would survive, but those most adaptable to change.
Well, it doesn't seem like you're adaptable to change at all.
Well, I'm recommending a different type of change. Like it's you can see what I'm saying.
No, I don't.
How hard it is.
No, I don't at all. Because if you were serious about eating better and getting back into shape, you'd do it. You wouldn't find every excuse not to do it.
Like you're being swayed by $1.60.
Yeah.
Like it's really weird. Like,
but it's not even that. But like you drive by, on the main drag, and you see all these ads. And you go like, oh man, I never see. They had Whoppers on for $6. I was like, oh my God, that's usually only a Whopper Wednesday thing. I could get it on a Monday, so like I gotta go.
What?
I just feel like once it's gone, it's gone. And if I'm not taking advantage of these deals, it's so minus EV.
Yeah, but you're so like, no offense, because the 2 for $8 Harvey's thing, like they run it 4, 5, 6 times a year.
But I don't know when they'll run it next.
Maybe
right.
You don't know, but you could have. Okay, I see what you're saying.
It could be 2 for $10 next time, but it's not now. Right now, it's 2 for $8, and that's all it is. It's $8 flat. That's what it is. And like, my God, what an opportunity cost that is that I'm leaving on the floor. But like, I don't want to.
How is it that you live your life,
save all $8 and eat what's at home?
All you do is price shop at fast food places, yet you don't apply any of this logic to the rest of your life. Only fast food.
I just say it's what I encounter. It's what I see every day.
You go to the grocery store all the time and do not care what things cost.
Well, I'm going to get what I'm going to get. Like whether green peppers, cucumbers have become extremely expensive recently, I've noticed. Oh my goodness, a cucumber is outrageously expensive.
Like the apps trick you by saving like $1.50, $2 to get you in the door.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah,
I'm guilty of it too, but I'm smart enough to know
I'm raising my hand to say I'm susceptible to it.
And they also run the coupons again, so your paranoia is very unwarranted.
It's not paranoia. I'm just saying I wish they would suspend some of the best deals that they're giving out this time of year till later in the year when it would make more sense for those of us who would like to participate.
And you said that this wasn't the most important thing in the world.
It's not the most important thing in the world, but I've been thinking about it a lot.
So this is going to keep you up? Mayo's Twitter is going to keep you up?
No, that is going to keep me up. No, this is not going to keep me up, but it's just like you want to plan. I bought one of my resolutions is I bought a whiteboard for my fridge to write my meals down for the week at the start of every week. And like I've been wiping things off that board all the time now because like I can't pass up these deals.
Oh man!
And I wish I didn't. It's sad, I know, but like what I'm saying is, set me up for success.
Step one, you accomplished. Get a whiteboard, write down what you're going to eat every day, and stick to that. Hell, you can even make the stuff a day in advance, so it's in your fridge. Because that's when I decided to first start, probably around like 24 or 25, Jeff, whenever I was at Fantasy or when I was at college, like in broadcasting school, that I made a concerted effort to get back into shape because I had been so wildly out of shape from doing my undergrad and like stopped exercising. So I started to exercise, then I had to get my diet back on track, and the main thing that I did was every Saturday night, I figured out what I was going to eat for the week. And I just made a whole bunch of food that I knew that I could have sides of. I would roast some potatoes, I would make a whole thing of rice, and then I would cook up some meats, be it cook some chicken here. I cut up some steak and cook it because I lived in a condo. I didn't have a barbecue or balcony. Cut it up and do it that way. Have some pork and just have everything in there in Tupperware containers that I could just make easy meals. It seems to me, Tim, the problem is that when it comes down to any sort of inconvenience that you might have to wait 45 minutes to eat because you need to make the meal, that's when you're going to be like, when you're driving home from work, you'll be like, oh, I could just eat right now. I'm hungry.
That does happen.
If you knew that you had it in the fridge already, I think you would just go home and eat it.
I don't know. The coupons still might get them, even
Maybe,
if it
but
was
Pat
like
makes a
ready
strong
and
point.
pre-made.
Because that is part of the thought process going through my mind as I'm driving down the main drag. I'm like, I got to get the air fryer out, and I got to turn it on, and I got to prep this, and I got to do that, and then I got to clean up afterwards. Man, if I just grab 2 burgers for $8 and eat them here in the car with the windows down, then I just drop the thing in the garbage, and I'm gone. And like, boom, no worries. Like, that's a really, really strong incentive structure not to cook.
And I think that's
Tim,
how they can
Mayo.
get you. But every Sunday night, what you can do, look at that, look at those coops. Just instead of making
fresh in the mail today,
like
I got some Wendy's scoops. See, I didn't even think about Wendy's. They probably have some great deals. Oh, man.
every Sunday night, you should just do it. Just allocate, or whatever night is free for you, that you have like an empty evening where you can do this stuff. Like Sunday nights are bad for me at this point with kids and football and everything on the go and work. So like Wednesday nights might be the night for me. I can do it while I watch The Challenge, which is now coming back again 1 week after it actually ended. But instead of making one chicken breast, I know you're not buying single chicken breasts and bringing them home. You're probably bringing a 4-pack, or you're buying the pack of like 24 chicken thighs, whatever it is. Just make them all at once and then put them in the fridge. You're not going to eat all 24 chicken thighs or 4 chicken breasts. You're like, oh, that's what I'm going to have for Monday. Maybe you can cut it up and make a sandwich out of it for Tuesday, whatever it might be. You can find different mixes and matches if you have the stuff at your disposal. And then it's all there for you. You don't have to think about the fast food. If anything, the fast food becomes more inconvenient for you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would feel like I wasn't taking advantage of what I've already cooked.
Exactly, and we know
So I
how
can
big you
see
are on
that.
food waste. We heard about that.
I don't like to waste animal byproducts, that's for sure.
So there you go. Make it, then you're forced to eat it.
Okay. But you can, all right, so you can empathize then.
I get it because I didn't have
this time of year.
I mean, that never. I think that making New Year's resolutions is the stupidest fucking thing in the world, but that's me.
Well, I think it's a good idea to make a resolution whenever.
Pick a better time of the year. Birthday resolutions are just so much higher on the scale than New Year's resolutions, unless your birthday is like January 7th or something like that. Like, this is just a horrible time of year to start trying to get active and better because it's so goddamn cold, depending on where you live. It's dark out. It's depressing out. Moving isn't as easily accessible. You want to be indoors. You want to be warm. It's not conducive with the sort of active, healthy lifestyle that you're talking about. That if you did it on your birthday, it would be much easier for you.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
So putting yourself into the right position to succeed is all a part of it. That's why you make the food. Because now you're in the position to be like, oh, I have no real excuses here now. And then all you need to do is, me going back on and off cigs all the time. I'm quit, then I'm not quit. I'm quit, and I'm not quit. You can fall off the wagon every now and then as long as you kind of stick to doing it. But realistically, like if you're going to quit for any extended period of time or change something in your life, it takes what, like a week? You stick to it for a week, and then it's kind of all the bad habits are almost out of your system, and then the good habits take place, and then it's easy again.
That certainly sounds very logical.
And if you make 5 or 6 days worth of meals and you don't want that to go to waste, just remember to cook some meat. And that way you won't get rid of it and you'll be forced to eat it. Then you'll just be in a habit of doing that all of a sudden, eating that way for a week, and then the fast food will be out of your life.
That's fair. And I probably would make a lot fewer carbs that way too, which is also something I'm trying to do.
There you are. Instead of buying French fries to bring home at the fast food place or even at the store to make, you can buy that bag of root vegetables that I've started to make. It has a few potatoes in it, but it's generally like carrots and parsnip, and you cook those in the air fryer and just, they're delicious.
It does sound good.
See?
I've never heard, I didn't realize there was such a thing as a bag of root vegetables like that.
Yeah, it's in the frozen food section. So these are all different alternatives. You just need to seek them out. You need to put in a little bit of effort in order to do it instead of taking the easiest route possible. And delete the apps.
Well, I really only have one app.
Then delete it. It doesn't delete your account, but if it's not on your phone, you won't be checking it
So
all the
many
time.
points on that app.
It doesn't
You don't
delete your
the
points.
account. When you log in again,
You just log
the
in.
points will be there. You're
Yeah.
not like eliminating the account. You're just deleting it off your phone.
Yeah, like if you deleted Twitter off your phone right now, it wouldn't delete your Twitter account. It would just delete the app from your phone. It's the same thing with McDonald's app. Just get it off of there for a week, then you won't even see the coupon. You won't get the push notifications that there's a new deal. You just take yourself...
Turn off push notifications.
Yeah, that's pretty huge too. I have zero
What are
push
you
notifications.
doing?
Although I
Like-
probably should have, if I had Twitter notifications turned on, it would have given me a push alert that my account was compromised, and I could have avoided this whole deal. So I guess there is some sort of method to that madness that maybe you want push notifications. However,
Yeah, but not.
by and large, from McDonald's is probably not a great idea. And listen, if you got a heroin addict, if you're a heroin addict and you get out of rehab and you're all cleaned up, the first thing you shouldn't do is go hang out with your heroin buddies because they're gonna be hooked on heroin again.
The food apps they'll pump those deals and they'll let Tim know when he's driving home. So he's gotta turn off the notifications. Like that's just inviting the temptation.
I would guess that it geolocates you for like when you turn on your car, it knows that you're moving in your car and potentially passing. Like once you get into a certain distance of a McDonald's and your car is on, it probably pushes it to your phone.
It
Listen,
probably does.
if I mean the notifications is essentially the same thing as me texting Tim at 5:30. Damn, Harvey's would be awesome right now.
Yeah.
That deal's amazing. Like it's no different than the push notifications.
It's true though. It really is true. Man.
Those notifications let you know you're tired and cold and you want the 2 for $8.
It's just like it's so easy, right?
Yeah, you don't want to cook. They're letting you know you don't have to cook tonight.
And like $8 is probably cheaper than the amount of money I'm spending on the stuff I'm cooking for supper.
That's
to begin
probably not true, by the way.
with. If I'm cooking chicken breast.
Sure, if you're cooking chicken breast, you buy what, 4 chicken breasts for like, I don't know, $13 or something?
It's a little more than that probably these days.
Sure, let's go, even call it 20. So $5 a breast. You're getting way more meat, for one thing. You could honestly just cut the breast in half and eat half a chicken breast, because that's probably enough, honestly. And then, like, the nutrition level is so much higher for about equivalent of the price and all the other stuff around it. Like, if you bought a bag of fries, that's probably the equivalent of buying a large fries at McDonald's. You get 4 meals out of that.
That's true.
So that's where I'm at with it. So you can do it. I have faith in you.
I'm not saying that I can't. I just really would like to not be. I'm thinking of that chapter from St. Augustine's Confessions where he said, "An unholy cauldron did lust and sing about mine ears." That's what I feel like when I'm going down the main drag. I'm like, oh man, all these temptations. It's so hard this time of year.
Fucking Gus had the knowledge, didn't he?
Yes, he's a pretty bright guy.
Welcome to the TGL presented by SoFi, golf's newest league. It's sharp and it's electric. How sharp is it? How electric is it? All great questions. Try this on for size. 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime force, and playoffs on the line golf with 24 of the best PGA Tour players. This week, it is off of Tuesdays and Monday, January 27th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Your Tiger Woods-led Jupiter Lynx are taking on the Rory McIlroy-led Boston Common Golf Club. Be there, ESPN, Monday, January 27th. All right, this is the TGL presented by SoFi. Keep up. It's golf. Well, we're here to talk about the conference championship game, so we should probably do that. Washington
I guess.
is at Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a 6-point favorite in this game. Hurts looks like he's going to play again, but he does seem to be pretty banged up. I still think that the Eagles run the show here. Their defense just looks too good for 90% of games. I think that they just got froze to death by the end of it. Maybe that ends up happening again. I don't know how cold it's going to be by the time Sunday rolls around on the East Coast, but this feels like a great season for Washington. I wouldn't be surprised if they won, but I could see it going south the other way too, where last week was kind of their Super Bowl. Like, it was great to beat Tampa Bay. It was a 3-point game, whatever, but staging a big upset against over the Super Bowl favorites in their building, and now they're back against a division rival outdoors who are just going to bang you up. The Eagles are basically everything that the Lions aren't this year. They could have ran the ball more with Gibbs, I suppose, but you're going to have Barkley running down your throat in a defense that's going to try to beat you up. And that's just not the same as Jaden Daniels indoors against a bad Lions D. One of you two
Who
can
wants
comment.
to go first? I thought Jeff looked like he was about to hop in there. I didn't want to interrupt him.
Go.
I don't. I'll take the Eagles.
So
I'm going to take the Eagles because I don't like I think Hurts, is still coming off that concussion that was severe. I don't think that takes some time to get over. And he's got the additional injury. It's a tough spot, but I just think Barkley is going to be such an effective runner in this game. And it just is not going to be denied. And Washington's story is great. And I feel so happy for Kenny, who's really the only one of the very few Washington fans I know. I think I know one or two other people, but it's so great for them. But it just doesn't feel like really a rookie QB is really going all the way to the Super Bowl with this team that really doesn't have that much talent on offensive side of him when you look at it. They really don't have much. Washington's story is marvelous, but I just feel like it's going to stop here. Philly beat them pretty soundly. I know the score was an 8-point game, but they beat them pretty soundly the first time they played. And Washington only beat them the second time because Hurts was out of the game. Kenny Pickett played most of that game. So their win against the Washington's win against Philadelphia was, kind of questionable. Long story short, I just think Philadelphia will just grind them out. It's going to be like a 24-13 type of game. I like the Eagles.
I would be worried, Jeff, about the back door. The biggest bet I made last week was Eagles -6, and the game, of course, landed on 6 after their kicker missed 2 extra points in that spot. And it could have been a loss if the Rams had scored that touchdown towards the end. They looked so good and dominating until they didn't all of a sudden. The pressure was on them. And maybe that happens again. I'm not going to be laying a huge sum on Philadelphia, but like I said, I really need them to win because at least I have outs. Then if I want to buy out that Super Bowl bet, I can, as long as the Eagles win.
So yeah, you've got that exact Super Bowl with both sides of the results, Eagles, Chiefs. I just have a big fucking Eagles future from August. I stared at it last night or on Sunday night. If it was like a pet cat, I would be petting it. I really want to get it home. In some ways, last year I had something with the 49ers. It's like a minor victory to get the future to the big game because I'm a bit of a degen and I'd bet the big game hard, even if I didn't have such a strong opinion. But it works out perfectly for you in a hedge situation in the second spot. I'm nervous about Hurts' health. Other than that, I have no concerns about the game. I'm almost too confident. I feel like I don't know. I don't want to say Washington is almost getting too much love, but you put it out there. You shared that path. And I do believe in that. But I desperately want Philadelphia to win this game. I was quite pleased when Washington won because of how this could set up for Philly and getting them to the Super Bowl.
Let's be honest, right? It took Detroit having 5 turnovers.
And defense being all injured.
And defense being all injured. And in the game before, it took a miracle bounce field goal carrying off a upright after a Baker fumble to win. So, you may look at that and say, well, then maybe Washington's just a charmed team, and maybe that's the case. But the other way to look at it is it's not like they were controlling either game, whereas Philadelphia absolutely put Green Bay into a pretzel and did the same thing to the Rams for much of that game until it got late, and then the weather really started to bear on to that game, and then things sort of went sideways. But
I've said to you in confidence, Tim, for my much heralded end of season organizational fan base feeling rankings, I don't really know the scenario left that Washington wouldn't, at worst case, be number 2. And that even would involve losing this week because of what they did this year, because of who the quarterback is, because of what that contract's going to be going forward, for what Kenny and his friends get to go to bed dreaming about who gets to play QB1 for the next dozen years plus. Like that is outside of winning the Super Bowl, which they're still in the game to do. There's nothing an NFL fan wants more than what has been delivered to the Commanders and their fans this year,
with probably the worst offense they're ever going to have.
See, you can say that, but this would be, I have Sia Najad on the live show on Friday. Will not be streaming to X. So just on YouTube Live under Mayo
Which
Media.
will be the third round of the Farmers. So that'll even be like Saturday sweats.
I just have 2 guests this week. Mike Leone is up first, Bills fan.
Oh, good.
And then we're talking golf, and then obviously Sia's in the D.C. area. So maybe I can ask him this question. I don't know if he was in the D.C. area for Robert Griffin, but before Robert Griffin blows out his knee in that game, this feels like the same thing. Now, I think this is better because Daniel seems like he's better than Robert Griffin, but maybe it's because I'm not a fan of a team and I don't have that sort of thing, but I can't think about like next year, let alone 12 years. So just get through these games. If you can try to win it now, win it now. Like I'd want to be all in because nothing next year is promised at all. Like Daniels gets a broken rib like halfway through the season or whatever happened to him. He kind of sucked in the middle of the season. Then he got healthy and then he got good again. Well, what if it's a knee next year? What if it's something else? Like you can't just bank on this being the worst offense that they're ever going to have. Maybe it's the best offense that they ever had. Maybe the league will adjust to Jaden Daniels next year.
Can
I meant personnel wise. That's all I meant. In terms of like the receiving core, and
they could lose like Cliff, right? Maybe Cliff gets a head coaching job somewhere. Them staying in the playoffs, I think, might help keep him at bay. But just in you mentioning Sia, he had a tweet on the weekend that kind of like broke me down a little bit. And I'm a little sensitive around these issues. But he, like you mentioned, like the long-standing Commander fandom, he mentioned that like he pretty much has a phone call with his dad like after every Commanders game, and that's like a special thing. And clearly, like how much more special those phone calls have probably been the last few months, the last few weeks. And then like I got emotional just thinking about like what it'd be like to be able to like make that phone call like to my grandfather after the Chargers beat a number 1 seed in their barn. Like, I don't know, they could. So yeah, that's all.
Significantly more positive conversations than I have with my father about football games on Sundays.
Yeah, I mean, different. Yeah, I mean, you seem like you intentionally chose to like do that. But as I joke, one of my favorite scenes in The Sopranos ever is when Tony and Bobby Baklava, they're getting ready to watch the Giants game at Bobby's house. Bobby Jr. goes running down the stairs. They're like, "Where you going? The Giants are on." He's like, "I'm going to Jimmy's to watch the Chargers game." And then like in a screeching cry, Bobby goes, "But this is a Giants house." And it like broke him. And I'm sad you broke your father by intentionally cheering for a divisional rival. That's rude.
Yeah, well, we cheer for the same hockey team, so we have that.
How's that going?
Better these days.
Oh yeah, that's good news. Good for them.
They're on the upswing.
Really?
Yeah, they're like just about near the playoffs. They had a really nice stretch.
Well, 10 a.m. Eastern Time Friday on the Mayo Media YouTube channel. We'll be talking football and a little bit of golf because it will be the third round of the Farmers. That's a round of Philly for us, and the coin is on Washington. I don't think I'd bet the -6 though.
No, just tease it.
Pat.
Oh yes,
is a big weekend for Pizzola in the sense of like betting early, getting the best number. Last week seemed like everywhere. Like by Sunday, if you were betting on day of game, you got the worst of it. But so many, be it With
Unless you took the other
safety or-
side, Jeff.
Yeah, yeah,
If you took Houston at the on Saturday afternoon, you were dancing.
yeah. No, I was that actually made me happy. I did take Houston. That was a frustrating game to watch. But I'm just saying, it just meant when you shop, like get early. Those half points, they meant everything last weekend.
Not necessarily get early. Only get early if you think the spread's going to go against you.
Yeah, like
you should wait till the
Well,
end
like
of
the Eagles game.
I missed the 5.5. Like, I didn't get down on the 5.5 when I should have. I waited too long. It was the 6, and I got my money back instead of winning the bet.
Sure, but if you really liked the Rams last week, you shouldn't have bet right away. You should have waited as long as possible.
Sure, but
Okay, fine. But I'm talking in the context.
But the weird thing about the Houston Kansas City spread ended up being the people that got screwed were the most public better possible was the one who got screwed. I'm not happy that they got screwed on it, and based on what happened and getting it back to that part of the spread. But if you're guy who bets on Chiefs 2 minutes before the game starts, the worst part is like those are the guys who would complain the most about it too.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, that's the perfect
Rigged.
That's the perfect storm of people. The most upset. I'm not like unit shaming, but like just like casual, and nothing wrong. I love being casual. But yeah, last in, they get screwed. They'll scream the loudest about it.
I have never heard that expression before. That is
Really?
such an insider term.
Do you think
Unit
that
shaming?
I mean, it might.
No,
Do you think it happens
not.
at bathhouses?
What the fuck?
Goodness.
Locker rooms? Yeah.
No, that's not. I don't think that's. I mean, maybe it's because we're so insular to the gambling world. Because Paul let out an audible like, "What?" That's
I think. I wonder if it's not a common term that I'm aware of.
Okay.
fair
I don't
enough.
think it's uncommon.
Yeah. Let's talk about the real Super Bowl.
Ugh.
Buffalo at Kansas City. Kansas City is favored by 2 in this game. Do you think the spread gets larger or smaller, Jeff?
I think it can get to 2.5 for sure.
Yeah.
By the game.
I was waiting to see what it did with the 1.5, whether it would be take back towards Buffalo or whether it would grow. And clearly it's growing towards the Chiefs. So yeah, I agree with Jeff.
Who do you like? I know you like the Chiefs. Jeff, who do you like?
You don't know that.
Really, who you taking?
He could be trying to
Who
curse
you
Oh,
it
taking?
if he's.
I'm gonna take the Chiefs. You didn't know that.
Because the Bills suck? Why?
No, the
Too
Bills
soft.
don't suck.
Josh Allen sucks, and the Bills are too soft. They can't.
No,
win.
Sorry. I have trouble picking against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, particularly at home. Even on the road, as we proved last year.
You know, everything that Allen said in his post-game interview, which some like people wanted to pick apart, like, and they said like we give like Travis Kelce a hard time for wanting to be the underdog or making up an underdog narrative. Like, I actually agreed with everything Josh said based on the preseason takes. The Bills D were like super small and super soft, and it was a team that's like arrow certainly wasn't going up.
Nope.
So everything Josh said after the game felt like, not actually, but it was pretty much a rebuttal to everything Tim has been saying all year about the Buffalo Bills, and I loved it.
Still see that. I mean, I'm sure Paul's heart skipped at least one beat when Allen on that third down play looked backwards and for 1/2 second thought, I should volleyball chest pass this or right into, I think it was Cook who was outside on a backwards lateral. I don't trust Buffalo to make enough plays to beat the Chiefs in this game. Now, they played earlier in the year and Buffalo won handily. Granted, Buffalo also beat the Chiefs in the regular season 1 or 2 years ago as well and lost in the playoffs. It's a different beast. I think it should be a close, compelling game, but in the end, you're asking me who do I think will make the big play down the stretch? Mahomes will. As good as Allen has been as a runner, Mahomes is the most clutch running quarterback maybe of all time. He's going to get that 3rd and 11 when you've got him backed up. He's going to get that 2nd and 9. The Bills are going to hold in a spot where they shouldn't. The kicker is going to miss a kick when it's crucial, and the Chiefs aren't going to miss that kick. Reed is going to just do the slight thing where he's going to own the middle 8 and end up with that extra 3 points that he wouldn't otherwise had. When you reckon both teams together and you put them side by side, I just think the ledger is slightly heavier for the Chiefs. so I'm compelled to take them.
I agree.
Such a hard
I-
handicap.
I want the Bills to win. That would be fun. I'm rooting for Paul. My dad's a Bills fan. That would be fun. And obviously it would kill my bet. So I'm not rooting for it in that sense. But I will take Kansas City -2 in the spot for a lot of what Tim said. Has been the theme of the playoffs so far. The team that makes the fewest mistakes is the one coming out on top. Like, what do the Chiefs do poorly when it comes to decision making? It's running like a double reverse jet sweep wide receiver pass on the goal line for no reason. Like, that's the sort of shit that gets them into trouble. But other than that, like, they're going to get some ref calls, potentially. They're going to have that in their back pocket. Mahomes is going to lean into a few of them. And then you still have him throwing a sideways pass that ends up complete to Noah Gray, a missed tackle here. It's just when it comes down to it, Tim's right. They're going to execute when they need to execute. The Bills' path in this game, Jeff, is a lot like it was against the Ravens. They got to get up early. If they're not up early, they can make Kansas City play the game that they want them to play. And as Paul has pointed out the entire season, and over the past few years, Buffalo has been built to beat this Kansas City team. But they can only beat them their way. If this is a close game, it's going to be tough for the Bills to win, it feels like.
I mean, it just feels like such a basic bitch handicap to say, like, this is going to come down to 1 or 2 calls and 1 or 2 plays.
But it's like Bills
And it's-
-5.5. Bills -6.5 would be my bet on the Bills. Not Bills +2. Like, I just don't see them winning by a point. They lose.
Yeah,
that
sure.
game.
Maybe even Bills like by 13. Like, if the Bills are going to win, they're just going to like just destroy them. Maybe, but I still think like 1 or 2 calls, 1 or 2 plays. Like, it's hard to like on the Tuesday picture the Bills being the team that like executes in the moment better than this Chiefs team. But
I will say,
And it's only
I
because we
feel
haven't
like
seen it.
yeah,
best
no,
case
but I want
scenario.
it, and I want it for people dead. I want it for people alive. Like I want this for Bills
Yeah.
Mafia to get to the goddamn Super Bowl. And the only person who probably wants the Bills more than football fans who are just fatigued with the Chiefs would be like ticket scalpers, because the Bills would be a gold mine for them. Obviously, the Eagles would be hardcore.
Washington, Buffalo.
There's enough Washington money. It'd be
that's the
is that a
one. If
replay
Buffalo
of the-
has to
Is
win,
that the No, they
No.
didn't. Norwood didn't miss the kick versus the Giants.
That was against the Giants, but this
If
would be a Super Bowl
Washington
rematch
has-
from
if-
89,
yeah,
I
if-
think. Or no, from
Yeah,
90.
something
no,
like that.
1991,
90 or 91.
91 season, 92 Super Bowl.
Super Bowl 25, the
No,
first of the
Super
4.
Bowl 26.
Oh,
The first of them was Super Bowl 25 against the Giants. Not to be encyclopedic about this, but that is
Okay,
the
no,
way it
you're
was.
right. You're right.
Um,
Oh yeah, the Murph first
if-
kick on the first one.
Timmy Smith, I believe, was MVP of that game. If
Timmy!
Buffalo should win, I hope Washington does too, because then Buffalo doesn't get the sweet underdog story all week. People aren't all excited for Buffalo's first chance. Washington's the story of the Super Bowl. They're the exciting thing. Buffalo are sort of like raining
But
on
wouldn't-
Washington's parade if it's Buffalo, Washington.
But wouldn't you just want Buffalo to lose? Like,
Yes.
So wouldn't
Yes,
you think
but
Washington is?
But
a
all I
bigger...
said is, if Buffalo gets in, let it be Washington. No, because if Washington gets in and they're going to play in the Superdome. Washington's going to score 40 points against that defense. I would love the Commanders against the Bills. I don't like them against the Eagles. I love them against the Bills.
I don't know about that, because I don't know if 40 points would be good enough against the Bills inside. Look at how the Bills have done inside this year.
Well, I did fair, but I just look at those two teams and I go,
You know, we didn't talk about it, and I honestly didn't realize it happened. I totally forgot. But I saw that the guy on Washington Cosme tore his ACL. It's like they're one of their best offensive linemen. That's gonna be huge.
yeah, it's not great.
So who are you taking?
I'm
Jeff?
picking
think
the Bills.
We're
I'm
getting that
picking-
Eagles. I think we're getting that Eagles Chiefs. Funny. We had a rematch last year of a Super Bowl we had like 2 years previous, and then we're going to get another rematch of a Super Bowl we had a year and a half ago.
Really, you think
Maybe.
that they have Super Bowls in 18-month increments?
No, okay, we had 24 months ago. You're right. You're right.
Eagles in their like.
Not to be, encyclopedic
Sort of,
about
it's a bit stale. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Why don't I just turn my mic off and go
Oh, I'm
home?
sorry. If we make a mistake on saying the wrong,
Yeah, you're
thing,
right,
you
you're
get to
right,
jump
you're
down
right.
our throats.
I mean, I wasn't correcting you.
You were correcting Jeff, but I'm here.
I was correcting Jeff.
As a man of the people, I'm here to stick up for all.
Okay. No, look, I can't. I'm not going to fight you on
What
it.
did I do that was wrong?
See, Jeff
You didn't do
even
anything.
know.
He's not even listening.
No.
He's not even listening.
Oh, you know what I wanted to say?
What?
No, this is nothing bad. Don't worry.
Get it ready, Paul. Write down the
No,
time
no,
code.
no, no. We're not even in that direction.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Get the time code ready.
No, this is gonna make it like this is not a complaint. This is just like I want to clear the air. And I'll never be in a debt to Cam Stewart. Like that's impossible. Last year in the wins thing, like I didn't want to collect, like I didn't know we're collecting. So I'm happy now that we are collecting. So I do owe Cam, I guess, $100, and that's a precedent we can have going forward, which I'm happy to do. I'm gonna reach out to Cam. I guess the golf starts on the Wednesday, so I might miss him this week. I'm gonna pay him, but like I'm gonna make bets for him. I'm not sending him $100. Not that I just say that, but I didn't get paid for winning a year ago. But I'm happy that the precedent is set that this is a money thing, and I have no issues at all paying Cam. Jared and Paul, I don't want these guys to spin that differently tomorrow. Like you're gonna regurgitate this.
The beep is already in, pal.
No, I didn't. I don't want like when I'm.
I can't believe you said that, Jeff.
No.
Even for you.
This isn't fair. This isn't fair. Jared and Paul, when they try to say like to Cam that I'm not going to pay him tomorrow, I need you to clear the air. That can't. That
I mean,
cannot
you just
happen.
said you're not going to pay him. You're just going to make bets on his behalf.
Oh, that's like
Yeah,
paying him.
for-
Why?
that's like paying him.
Is Cam in your like texting you that you owe him $100? Is that
No, but I forgot. I watched the show and it was brought up, and I'm not gonna like. There is zero chance on this earth that I would allow Cam Stewart to think like I stiffed him on a hundo. Like he's getting the hundo. He's getting
cash equivalency.
Sure, if he really wants it, but like we'll go in on golfers together. We'll have fun. Like I don't
Is $100 enough to make 74 bets?
No, I was thinking for him, I was thinking 4 quarters, like 4 25 chips. I don't know if that would
This is the track they're going to play twice this year, right?
We don't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was confirmed that they were doing.
Oh, was
I can't
it?
remember if
I heard it like much earlier in the week.
No, Rick
that's the way it was gonna be.
Rick put that out. That probably is what it's going to be. I don't think that's official yet, though.
Oh, okay.
But with the way that
Yeah.
people have been withdrawing from the tournament, that would actually make a ton of sense. Although it doesn't at the same time, because I guess you wouldn't want the
I would just
monotony of
stick
playing
in Phoenix.
because they want to keep it in California.
Okay, I understand that.
But it just seems strange that if you're going to play an elevated event for like quadruple the money in 2 weeks' time at the same course, I'd want to get some reps in at the course, see what it's like this year.
Yes, absolutely.
That'd be me, though.
But I mean, as Jeff will tell you, it's the same golf course on every hole. Dog leg left, dog leg right, dog leg left, dog leg right.
the cliffs of La Jolla, it's beautiful. I'm not one of those people who are going to besmirch it. Paul, like I just want the Buffalo Bills so badly to win this weekend.
Jared's switching the show, not Paul.
Okay, Paul's not here today.
No, Paul's there.
Same, bro.
That's fine. I just saying I want the bill like so badly. The people of Buffalo, it is like their life. The Chiefs, they're spoiled. They're pigs in the trough. All the credit to them. All the respect to them. Let someone else dance with the girl.
No, let the Chiefs win. Unlike you, I'm not afraid of greatness.
You really seem to be, though.
No, I like to see if this is greatness, and I don't like to cheer against greatness.
Well,
I got nothing against the Chiefs. Not my division. I don't dislike their players.
You cheer for this team with a gold helmet that could not get anywhere near greatness.
Well, to give them their due, they could have just given up when they were down 31-7.
Instead, they kicked a field goal for no reason.
Well, I guess it wasn't for. I wouldn't have done it, and I guess it wouldn't have mattered because they weren't going to get enough possessions in. But that was dumb. But to give them their due, they could have just rolled over and died in that game, and they showed incredible spunk to get that to a 1-score game, and fight back. So I give them some credit that they didn't just quit. But they got beat. They got beat by a better team. I mean, their quarterback did basically what Jeff wants Josh Allen to do in a game, which is to just have 15 consecutive runs on the first drive. And I just don't think that's sustainable long term.
No, in the second half though, I want to just bury them with Josh Allen.
So, I mean, I was very proud of the performance Notre Dame put out this year. They won 2 big bowl games and a playoff game at home, and just they got beaten by a team that was slightly better. So it
You're taking it pretty well.
I went into the game without crazy high expectations. I knew they were sizable dogs. I knew they would have their hands full. I knew things had to go perfectly for them to win. I was proud of their performance. It wasn't like the Alabama championship game where they lost by 1,000,000 points. They lost by 11.
It also seems like the program that was like an endpoint for the program, that Alabama game. This, you could argue,
Yes.
like this feels like a almost
Well, when you can have
a mini launching
33-year-olds
point.
play on your college football team, like there is no endpoint.
Fair enough.
You know,
We do
like
have some breaking NFL news before we get out of here.
okay.
And it involves the Patriots, Tim.
Okay.
They're expected to hire Josh McDaniels as their offensive coordinator.
Oh, gee, what a shock. They just have a wheel that they spin. And like, which former Patriots coach of old will now be taking this offensive coordinator job? Let's give it to the guy who everywhere he's been an underachiever. Okay.
Except for in New England.
It's been fine under Bill Belichick.
I mean, I would say with Tom Brady would probably
And
be the
with
easier
Tom
way to
Brady,
say
yeah.
that.
Sure. Okay, sure. Bring in McDaniels. All right.
I've started to think about this. All the coaches that we think are good, are any of them good, or do they just have good quarterbacks?
Well, Tomlin doesn't have a good quarterback.
Yeah, but and look how he's doing. He loses in the first round every year.
He's making the playoffs every year.
When he had Ben Roethlisberger, he won a Super Bowl.
I mean, John Harbaugh won the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco.
There you go. So maybe it's John Harbaugh. Maybe he's the guy.
You know,
I think Aaron Glenn's going to be announced the head coach of the Jets tonight.
I'm hoping for it.
What
But if not, well,
what if
then-
it's Brick Johnson?
Little big league.
Yeah. Leave that poor guy alone. He didn't do anything.
Do you think that's why they have so many London games, so he can go over and drink legally?
Look, I'm just happy that we were the first London game announced. Like, and again, a further evidence. Like, go ahead, send Miami to Madrid. Like, who
Yeah,
cares?
in a new country, you need to open with a big team like the Miami Dolphins.
Oh,
Not
please.
just
And they're
keep
not even
running listen, the London games are the Jags, the Jets, the Browns. Like, that's a part of their inner circle.
And they're going to Madrid. They're not even going to Barcelona. If you wanted to go to a big international, like, Olympic city, like, okay, go to Madrid. All right, okay, fine. You know, I'm going to London where people actually, you know, were like, that's the gravy train, and that's where people want to see the Jets. Let Miami compete in Spain against whomever, the Cardinals, on a Friday night on the opening week. Have it. Go ahead.
Can I give you guys a Super Bowl future?
Sure. Kansas City to win Super Bowl.
Heads or tails? I like tails.
No, it's 1,000-1.
Ooh. Sammy Valimaki to catch a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
DeMar Hamlin, Super Bowl MVP.
What a way for you to double dip on that if that actually hits.
I put $5 on it.
Defensive backs are, if you're going to pick a defensive player, defensive back's never a bad pick, because if he has
Scoop
a pick
and
six,
score. You know
Yeah.
the narrative. Like, I'm not like, listen, it would take the world, but he's the sort of guy that if he does like 1 or 2 things in the game,
one pick six,
It would
and then
be
like
this-
a number of fumble recovery and like the momentum. If there was no clear MVP,
a fumble he
the
had nothing to do with. He just scoops and scores it on someone else's sack. And you know, the murmuring through the press box would be like, guys, like, we could do this. Let's do this. So, yeah, $5 pays 5,000.
I like it. I'm in on DeMar Hamlin MVP. Let's do this. If you're, I guess the hosting is different than the actual viewership. If you had to power rank the teams and like what the best matchups would be that the league would want for the Super Bowl, it's Kansas City, Washington, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, Philly's evergreen. It would have its moment. The Philly could carry it, like.
But there is, you know, a little
And there's
staleness there. You
rematch.
just had that game, so it's a little.
But Washington, yeah, it's like the rebirth of I don't know, like of a once preeminent franchise with a super elite young rookie quarterback. Like the rookie African American quarterback being in the Super Bowl Like, yeah, that the league would love that.
Yeah, and you have Washington along with it as well, like being a historic NFL franchise, a Super Bowl
How do you think
winning
Dan Snyder
franchise.
feels about this?
Probably horrible.
Yeah, probably horrible. Right?
Like when Homer sold those $1 million Greyhounds.
He's probably cheering against them this week.
But it's obviously Kansas City for TV ratings. But I do think for ticket sales, Washington Buffalo does better ticket sales. Like just all the
Like scalp, you mean secondary market?
yeah, like all the Buffalo people going to that game to be like, oh my god, it's happening, let's go.
Yeah, in the same way, Pat, the get in for Detroit for that game on Saturday night was $8.50. The average get in. What like a Detroit Buffalo Super Bowl would have been the scalpers, like, oh my god, the windfall. But there's a lot of like rich elite Washington money that would like pay up huge to see their team get back in that game. So that would be that'd be great. Phillies like
Chiefs are not great for the
worse
because they like the Patriots, right? Once you bend to enough,
yeah.
You know, like people
it's
are not
far too.
Yeah.
It's far. It's not like close. Like it'd be a really far one. Yeah, I don't know how you're still going to super. Like obviously,
whereas all the Bills fans would pack their minivans with their
you go into
their tables.
Bills fans, Lions fans,
they would accept.
They would
sleep in their
accept the
vans
debt.
and
they would like accept the debt they will put themselves in to attend that game. That's just part of their life.
Over under Buffalo residents being thrown in prison in New Orleans during that week. Over any number you can list.
Like a Buffalo Philly Super Bowl would be an intense like Friday.
It would be a very unpleasant
like an
circumstance.
Intense Friday. I'm not talking about the bougie elites, in their suites and their parties. I mean, like the lower levels of the fan bases. We should have like a brawl for all on the Saturday night before Philly Buffalo. Oh, what a night! What a show! That's the Super Bowl I want really badly, actually, for betting and personal. Yeah.
All right. That will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Guess what? Tim Cust.
Tim Cust.
That's not my name.
We made it to 2 hours, pal, for 2 games.
I'm not shocked. We've always find a way.
Do you think this is
and
something
then when we do our next show, when we do our show again in 2 weeks, we'll see if we can get to the same level.
And that'll be tough because I mean, people.
I presume we're taking a bye next week.
No, I thought we'd record on Monday for a Tuesday show for awards and pick the awards and all that stuff.
Okay, we can do that.
Why not?
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Yeah, you let me know about the times. If not, we can shift it around to make it work. But I don't see a reason not to.
I like the idea of doing something next week for sure.
Yeah, and then maybe we'll try to keep this going throughout the course of the off season. Not every week, obviously, but maybe this is something we could do every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, just to keep the rotation going. Because people have already said, like, people claim to be big fans of the golf show, Jeff. Then they're asking where Tim is on the golf show. It's like, well, Tim's never been on the golf show, so that's a really tough scene for you.
Yeah, I make like 3 or 4 appearances a year on the golf show, and they're like 5-minute appearances.
All at major championships and the players.
Yes.
Tim's the money maker.
Hey, look, I gave you Wyndham Clark. I gave you Bryson, first round leader at the Masters last year.
I mean, like the people like that.
No,
I honestly feel like that live show. It's about getting to like see you and touch you in the flesh.
No.
Yes.
It's about Cam. It's about you guys. I am a small little part of that.
No. People want to know that you are like real. Like real. Like not this generated bot, maybe. Like they want to see it. IRL. Okay. That is, I think, the biggest draw of the roundup.
Well,
not to
that's
there aren't
a flattering thing to say, but I don't know that that's true.
When you said that people were yelling at you at Super Bowl in Minnesota, how many people were negatively yelling at you?
I mean, they weren't negatively yelling; they were just yelling and startling me.
Yeah, like, hey Tim, great to meet you, man. High five.
Like, love the show, love you, Tim. Thumbs up. Ah!
I was ready for it.
And then you like leave that like I need to go back to my hotel room. That was startling and scary.
No, I just wanted to go downstairs to the press room and get free food.
And you did.
Listen, folks, if there is like a meet and greet but Tim is getting like his free dinner from the bar or something, just leave him alone. Okay, just let him.
Look, I would be happy to interact. I love this idea of a one-time we all get together, and I'm traveling for like a weekend, so I can handle it. And like we'll get together and we'll meet people, and it'll be fun. And then like I'll go home, and that'll be great.
Yeah, but don't get between Tim and his free food, as people found out in Montreal.
Well, like like it's free. But I would be delighted if people wanted to come out to the show, and not just to see me, to see everybody, all the cast of characters. I'm sure would be there in person. Like, you think Comic-Con is impressive? Like this would be more impressive.
Yeah, you've never seen Garyon Con.
I feel like Garyon Con and Comic-Con are actually very similar.
No, much more subdued at Garyon Con.
They all just dress up like cans of Vienna sausages, or
they all just wear
dress up for people you murdered. We'll have like a horse and Angela Lansbury. And
That's
like
amazing.
People
Cust Con 2025.
they're gonna cosplay all the people Roger Moore, all the people you custed to death.
Take no responsibility.
That would be amazing, by the way.
No, it wouldn't. People showed up like a Mike Bullard t-shirt.
Oh, we could do a costume contest and have best prize.
Or impressions. Yeah.
The second place runner-up can have $10.
Actually saw an old Lucille Ball clip the other day, and I howl every time because Tim's.
Hi,
impression
Jeff.
isn't-
It's me,
Yeah,
Lucille Ball.
It is sort of it is like that. It's like
That towards the end. This is me, Lucille Ball.
That will do it on the Pat Mayo
I
Experience.
had both I Love Lucy and the Lucy Show. Not one, but two shows.
I can't even post this on Twitter. It's unfortunate.
Tim, will you pump it out? Will you do your part?
Pat's got that alternate account. He can use that.
You're not gonna. You won't step up right now. Like
If
you're
he
gonna
posts
lose
it on the-
sleep. You're
I-
gonna
if
you're
he-
gonna lose sleep. You won't step up.
If it's
and pump out
posted
the
on
show?
if it's posted on the alternate account, I would retweet that.
Okay, there we go.
That's the most you'll do.
I'll figure out if we can do that or not. Hopefully we can. Anyway, thank you all for joining us, sitting down. Hopefully you got to kill some time talking very minusculely about the NFL. But hey, it was a fun show. Follow me on Twitter at Mayo Media Net for the time being, and do not open any links from the PME, but sub to the channel, sub to the podcast, and sub to the free newsletter at Substack right now. You can find all the info down in the description, all right? Thank you all for watching. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!